We'll call the Wednesday, September 17, 2025 Public Works Commission meeting to order. The first item is the agenda itself. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the agenda.
A second?
I will second the motion.
Excellent. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye for myself. Great. Next up is public forum. So we'll open public forum for tonight's meeting. Just a reminder, this is an opportunity for folks from the public to share comments, raise concerns, or bring issues to the attention of the commission. Please note that this portion of the meeting is not intended to be a back and forth discussion. The staff and the commission are here to listen carefully, but we will not be responding or deliberating on comments during this time. We ask everyone to use respectful language so that all voices can be heard in a constructive and welcoming environment. We've allocated 10 minutes total for public comment, and each person will have up to 3 minutes to speak, and we'll let you know when your time is nearly up so we can make sure everyone can speak. We'll start public forum with folks in the room. Trevor's up first on the...
Yeah, great. So thank you all for signing in advance. I think Genevieve, you are first, followed by Lizzie, and then Jazz. Hop on up. Yeah, come on up. The mic is not to amplify your voice, but to capture the for the video.
Perfect. Hi, I'm Genevieve Messina. I live in the New North End of Burlington on North Avenue, right near J.J. Flynn Elementary School. And I just wanted to talk to you guys about the speed humps that were put in. And first, I want to say, thank you to you guys for realizing that there's an issue with people speeding. And number one, the safety of our children. With the speeding and being able to cross the road safely. I know myself, as well as a lot of my neighbors, have written in that the speed humps have been extremely disruptive. The city buses, especially the water tank trucks, any large vehicles are still hitting them at a really high rate of speed. And it vibrates our houses. Multiple times where literally the picture frames on my walls are shaking. It's sending my cat running under the bed. We're worried about, the structural integrity of our homes, the foundation, and just noise pollution as well. It's very loud when these vehicles hit. Even trucks with the tools in the back, or towing vehicles, towing any kind of equipment. Even slowing down, it's very noisy. And it's not, in my opinion, effective with slowing traffic. It is, I'm not saying nobody is slowing down, because there are people slowing down, going over them, but a lot of people are still hitting them. And I brought, some items. These are car parts. The second speed hump it's maybe 5-6 feet right before my driveway. So cars are hitting it so hard that they're literally, I have radiator caps, bolts, springs, a dust thing that I found, I feel like they're hitting it so hard, they're losing parts. And I want to drop back because my main focus is the safety. And the speed humps, I don't feel are actually the most effective thing with the kids crossing the road. Since Bob left last year, we have not had a crossing guard. There was a huge gap last year. We had somebody at the end, but nobody has come back as a crossing guard. In that Barley Road intersection that goes right across is a high traffic area for students, and it's as a mom, my heart stops so many times. I see kids this year making a mad dash across the road, and there's no assistance to help them across. So my points that I guess I want to get across is a crossing guard. We need a crossing guard back at that intersection, but also the flashing light crosswalks. I know we have them at other schools, we have them for the Boys and Girls Club, parks, intersections, just various intersections. Even Pine Street here has 5 of them. And looking at getting one of those installed, so when there isn't a crossing guard, there's at least something that helps signal cars that a child is trying to cross and that they need to stop. And hopefully it'll assist too. I know that's a really tough intersection for crossing guards. The public doesn't treat them nicely. And I feel like the flashing light would help assist a future crossing guard, also like help them do their job, help them feel safer, you know, stepping out with the sign.
I'm sorry to interrupt. The 3 minutes was up. So
No,
just wanna
that's
make sure
fine.
other
That
folks
was
have
the
opportunity to
last
speak.
point.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Whoever's next.
Hi, thank you. My name's Elizabeth Post, and I live at 1807 North Avenue, so right across from Jenny's house. And I am also experiencing everything that she just stated and want to second that to you. There's a real problem in that area of North Avenue right after the final light. There's not a single stop. There is nothing to slow anybody down until you go all the way to the bike path. And I think that encourages a lot of speeding. My neighbor's cat was killed 2 years ago. I found it half alive in the road. It was awful. Like, it's more than just the kids, it's everybody who is affected by the speeding. The noise from it is atrocious. But without anybody policing that area or doing any kind of traffic stops or speed traps, there's really not a lot to discourage people from speeding. And right now they're hitting the second speed hump, which is in between Jenny and my houses, and they are just revving up to fly down the rest of North Avenue. Or even people, not people, even the bus drives through, hits that speed hump going south too hard. It shakes our houses, it wakes us up in the morning, it keeps us up at night. It's being felt much further than we've been told is possible to us. Right now, the response that we've received hasn't really been one that's let us know that people are really looking into this with us. We've been commenting on this for over a month, or for a month now, excuse me. The first issuance was August 20th. So we're really hoping that the city will take us seriously, that we both want safety on the avenue and we want our peace and quiet back. There are napping babies, there are people recovering from tough illnesses right now. There are people just trying to sleep normal hours, and it's all been disrupted, and it's not been something we've experienced before. So we're really hoping the city will work with us. Jenny stated some great ideas. We also know that over in Colchester, they have a red stoplight that when you press the button, it gives you a full red stoplight. We think that that might be a really wonderful solution if it's in the budget, to help with that Barley Road intersection, which also has a lot of people going right up to it to make that left turn and get over towards the Beltline, which is just, it's not safe. And we really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. If I could submit a letter from 12 of my neighbors and I, detailing sort of our experience in the last month.
Feel free to share it with the chair,
Okay, great.
and we'll get copies out.
And then I'm going to send an email version to you, Chapin, that has links to logs of the disruption we're feeling and video of people speeding through. Thank
Great.
you very much.
Thank you. Next up.
Hi, I'm Janice Caruso. I'm new to Burlington. I just moved here this spring, and I've enjoyed my experience here so far. I do live at South Union and Maple. Talking about street noise, you hear those buses accelerating, but that's not why I'm here. What I'd heard via the Front Porch Forum was that there was possibility of parking meters being put in or some changes in parking regulations near Champlain College, and of course I'm only a block or two from Champlain College. I just pay a lot in taxes, and I really don't want to have to pay for parking in front of my house. After talking to the director, it sounds like maybe that's not a concern, that it was misleading, but I just wanted to express my concern that parking meters not just be put in without a lot of discussion and people being aware of what's going on. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Next up in person. If there's anyone else?
Is anybody else here interested in speaking in public forum?
I guess I could.
Yeah, come on up and then sign your name after you speak. Perfect.
I'm Elizabeth Seiler, and I live on Brow Court, which is close to Lizzie and Jenny. And I'm 3 houses in from North Ave. And at first I thought there were earthquakes, small earthquakes happening. And then I realized that it was the traffic going over the speed bumps. And I was really surprised to find that from so far away, I can still feel it. There's a lot of sandy soil in that area, as you probably know. So there must be something about the rock underneath and the sand that's allowing those vibrations to spread. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I think my cat has jumped up on the bed and started running around, but it's actually something from a vibration from a truck or something going over those. So I just wanted to support these two and what they're saying. I feel it too. And thank you very much for being concerned about the safety of the area, and I'm hoping there are other solutions that we can come to.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing as no one else in person for public comment, we're going to turn to online.
Okay.
Can we turn to online first? And
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Rob, anyone else online?
Yeah, Barbara, you're up in queue.
Hi, good evening. I expressed some concerns earlier this week about the ordinance change for parking, but those concerns have been addressed, and I wish to thank Chapin and his staff very much for providing more clarity and some edits to the document so the concerns are addressed. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Sharon Busher, you're up in queue.
Hi, good evening. Is Jim the new chair?
No, sorry. No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This is Sharon Busher, and you do later on have the parking enforcement ordinance and the delineation of power from the commission to the department. And there's a section for public comment. Do you want me to wait at that point? I am going to make a couple of statements, but I have a few specifics. Do you want me to wait until that time to give you the specifics?
If you want to speak now, Sharon, on that, that's fine.
Okay. So I'm not quite sure. So you're talking to someone who was on the Traffic Commission those many years ago when it existed, and Don Morley was the head of the traffic component of the city. So so I was surprised to see the ordinance still reference the Traffic Commission. And I'm sure there's a reason, but I wasn't quite sure why the ordinance doesn't strike Traffic Commission and sub Public Works Commission, as opposed to defining the Traffic Commission as today the Public Works Commission. That's just a generic question. I'm sure that it's probably related to charter and a lot more work, but it seemed like you'd want to get rid of that antiquated language. So that's just an observation. One section that is troubling to me, because I was a city councilor and I got a lot of phone calls regarding section 20-7, which has to do with the response time when there's a violation. And I'm going to narrow in, I'm going to focus on the specific one. There were times, and I believe Chapin was the head of DPW, there were times when someone would park and block someone's driveway, access to a driveway. Now, in certain sections of the city, that's not, I mean, that's inconvenient, but you could park on the street. But in other sections of the city, if you've got a driveway and a place to park, that's your only place. There's no other place on the street. So it suggests a prolonged response. And I really think that there are times where something has to be acted upon pretty quickly if it can be. It's not emergent, but it's important. You're leaving someone stranded with nowhere to park, and they live at an address and they can't access their driveway. So I just wanted to highlight that in advance of your conversation to see if there's anything that could be discussed about how you would do this. Um, have been around and was on the council for a long time, and slowly watched and slowly took part in delegating more power to the CFO, the CAO, from the Board of Finance. I was on the Board of Finance. However, and some of that made sense. It streamlined the system, but I do want to say that I feel that as a commission, you might want to initially get a list of what the department is doing that you used to have to approve. And so you get an idea, a flavor of what's going on, and kind of reconfirm your decision to go in that direction. I'm going to stop there, and if I have any other comments, I hope you'll entertain them at the time this comes up. But I know I've probably reached my 3 minutes, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon. Thanks.
John, you are up in queue.
I'm sorry, Chair. This is Eric Brunbush from the City Attorney's Office. Before we move on, I heard Ms. Busher reference Section 20-7, and I looked that up, and I wondered if maybe it was for the section she was referring to. So I just wanted to confirm that before we go on.
I heard 20-7 too, and I
couldn't.
Yeah.
20-7, because that is about sleighs clinging to vehicles, and so I thought maybe it wasn't what Ms. Busher meant to refer to. And I do want to know more, so we can take a look at that.
Oh, looks like Sharon's back online.
Sorry, yes, 20-71.
71, got it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
I had the same.
Yeah.
I had the same question.
John, feel free.
Hi, thanks for giving me the time to speak. Yes, my name is John Benoit. I live on Turf Road, actually right down the street from the speed bumps that you've all been hearing about this evening already. And I just wanted to express first some agreement and then an area of disagreement with the earlier commenters. I could not agree more that first, this is a dangerous area, dangerous intersection. People really speed way too fast down North Ave, and the speed bumps have had an effect in that small area, but as soon as drivers pass them, they go right back up to the speed that they want to drive, which is anywhere from 30 to 60 miles an hour. It can be pretty scary. So I'm fully in support of the comments that we're calling for crossing guards. I think they're great for kids when they're available. Flashing lights, I think, make a massive difference for those of us who cross at night. I tend to cross this intersection 2 or 3 times a day, and a stop sign would truly be incredible. And I'd love to see stop signs peppered further down North Ave as well. I think that would make a huge difference. I do have to express some degree of disagreement. I believe that these speed bumps have made the most noticeable impact in the safety of the area in front of the school that I've seen since I moved here 3 years ago. Like I said, I cross this street 2 or 3 times, sometimes even more times a day. And until these speed bumps were installed, it was absolutely impossible to get a driver to stop for you. It was a matter of kind of creeping out into the intersection, trying to make eye contact with someone. Even many times, a driver would make eye contact with me and drive right through the crosswalk as I was trying to cross. The speed bumps have caused drivers to move slow enough that it is safe for a pedestrian to cross. I think that's so important, and it's something that no amount of policing can provide, and that flashing lights alone also don't provide. So I really appreciate the placement of these speed bumps, and I think that it's made my days and my partner's trips in the same area much safer. Thank you.
Great, thank you, John.
Thanks. That's all we've got for online.
Excellent. Did you want to make one last brief comment?
I did,
Yeah.
like 10
Yeah.
seconds.
So we get.
Just talking to other Flynn families, I just wanted to mention for the flashing crosswalks that the next crosswalk north of Barley Road, it's at Pennington Drive, that's another one. There's a lot of families that live in those neighborhoods that have the same difficulty with safety and cars stopping, getting across. So just to consider like that intersection and crossing as well.
Great,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Closing public forum and moving on to the consent agenda. Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Just one moment. Oh,
Oops.
sorry, point of order. If I had a quick question on one of the items, but I don't necessarily want to pull it off the consent
We can just
agenda.
do it during the discussion portion, so we'll just get a second and
Perfect.
do discussion. Second on the,
Second.
great. Any discussion on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Commissioner Hayes?
Just a quick question regarding the Clark Street stop sign. There was a letter that was included from a resident who was supportive of having a stop sign there, and it absolutely makes sense there. But what the concerns that he listed made me wonder whether they were going to be addressed with the addition of the stop sign. So I'm just curious if that's going to be evaluated a bit further. Like you said, there were some sight line concerns about pedestrians and in cars not being able to see because of where the parking spaces are. I think there were concerns about not having the crosswalks marked very well. So just curious if there's going to be follow-up on that.
Yeah, Senior Public Works Engineer Corey Mims to come up and answer that.
Yeah, Corey Mims, Senior Public Works Engineer. Yeah, so generally speaking, the Clark intersection already kind of exists in its own feature. It already is a conditioned stop, generally speaking. This is formalizing that stop by putting the sign in. To the extent if there's an issue of line of sight, we would be reviewing that to confirm whether or not the line of sight is blocked by parked cars, or if it's not, downtown is a very congested area, and there's intersections, it's one of those things that's been an existing condition. We can review it. Now, if that means removing parking from downtown in order to facilitate, that's something that has to be checked out and viewed. So the department would be looking at that underneath this, new installation.
Okay,
So,
great.
Yep.
Thank you. That was it.
Any other discussion points on the consent agenda? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye for myself, no nays. Moving on to agenda item 5, parking ordinance change.
So we have a good crew here this evening to go over some of these changes, proposed changes for your consideration. And we've had quite a good week of communicating some of these changes to the public with some spirited conversation with many members of the community. We have with us Eric Ramakrishnan, who's Assistant City Attorney. We have Philip Peterson, our Senior Public Works Engineer and Planner, and also Jackie Asperdi, our Division Director, who can answer questions for you going forward. No, Christina Engineer, Christy Angelosi has helped out a lot, who's online as well. So a good team effort here. A lot of this I would summarize as technical cleanup with some adjustments to delegate authority for safety matters. This is not a wholesale change in delegating responsibility to staff, but in key areas where we believe we need to respond quickly to safety concerns. This seems appropriate, like an appropriate delegation to me, but we welcome your input.
Great. Philip Peterson, Senior Engineer Planner with Department of Public Works. If you recall, we talked about this back in October and November, about a year ago. A lot of it's just what we're advised by our Assistant City Attorney, Eric Ramakrishnan, who's brilliant and has brought out some really good points. We have some blind spots, especially when it comes to accessibility needs in the city of Burlington. We need to be able to respond to those needs. Also, a lot of issues next to crosswalks, and we're just talking about, just mentioned it's the Clark Street stop sign. If all of our no parking zones, which will increase sightlines, become a political matter, then safety kind of sits in the background. And so these ordinance changes would allow us to proceed with those things a little bit more nimbly, a little bit more quickly. In terms of the legal gymnastics, Eric can probably discuss that a lot better than I can. And so he's actually joined us online. Eric?
Yeah, I can speak to that piece of it. There's a lot of modernization and updating of things in this ordinance, but speaking to just to bring things in line with modern practice, the way things are actually done. But to speak to the staff delegation, this ordinance would go into the Burlington Code of Ordinances, and it would merely enable your commission to then enact changes to Appendix C that would delegate things to staff. So this would be City Council giving you the power to then delegate things to staff. The items that are listed that you could delegate to staff are all safety and accessibility items. And we've added, Christina has worked on some language that we would intend then to bring back if this ordinance is adopted to implement some of those things. And so we've tried to create appropriate safeguards around how that delegation would be used. So for example, if there is a school zone that should be created, or maybe the loading and unloading rules around in front of a particular school need to be changed to address safety. First of all, there would either have to be a request from the school district identifying the safety issue, or staff would have to receive new information, or there would need to be changed circumstances. So those would be the triggers. One of those things would have to happen. Then staff would have to make a determination that's backed by published engineering guidance. And then they would eventually need to still bring the change forward to you, but staff's change that it made could be implemented in the interim. The idea being sometimes we receive information around school zones that require immediate action to protect kids, but the process of changing Appendix C takes so long that the city can't react nimbly. And so safety is at risk, even though it's been brought to our attention by the school district. Or somebody needs an accessible parking space on their street. It could take months to be able to put that into Appendix C, but the federal law requires us to accommodate them. So this is just giving staff a little bit of nimbleness with a lot of guardrails around it to put basic things into effect, with the understanding it still needs to come before you. It could just be in effect in the interim until it gets to you.
Public engagement plan is still in play, and we would not proceed with any of these projects without utilizing that. And so that means anything less than 3 parking spaces is a flyer, anything more than 3 parking spaces, which is kind of what we've used as a baseline standard, is a mailer and a flyer. And reach out, Front Porch Forum, also reach out to city councilors, et cetera, et cetera. So we wouldn't just do things without engaging with the public directly. So we would still make sure to do that element.
Great.
And as Eric pointed out, after this process is complete, so we kind of get approval here, it goes to, I think, Ordinance Committee for the first reading, then it'll go to City Council for the final reading, that gets approved, and then we would come back likely in November for final approval of changes to Appendix C. So what you have as an attachment for Appendix C in front of you is simply a draft. So if you have thoughts or opinions about that, you got some time.
Great. Thank you. Any other staff comments on this before we turn it over to the commission?
I would just say, based on public feedback and some of the engagement around these changes, we have adjusted the motion language in the supplemental memo that was posted subsequent to the original memo for a motion for your consideration should you want to advance these changes.
Great, thank you. Moving on to commissioner comments for this, we'll start with Commissioner O'Neill-Vivanco.
I just wanted to see this on. No, I believe me, I can go. Never at a loss. Thank you. I certainly appreciate, Eric, your comments on the clarification and the oversight. I think, certainly a concern I have is what are the guardrails that we have, and that they're still, I appreciate that safety is important and that staff can implement these changes before bringing it back to us. I think what I'm concerned about is the commission then, I don't want to say losing control, but losing some oversight in these processes, because I hope that we support staff in communicating concerns that we hear from residents, and that kind of we're all working together. So I think as long as those guardrails continue to exist, I'm supportive of this, and the public engagement plan, I think, is paramount. How we communicate, what we communicate, perhaps this week, maybe shed a light on sometimes things get out of, someone hears a rumor or reads into something and then spreads something on Front Porch Forum, and we're all spending a lot of our precious time kind of backfilling and responding. How can staff lean on the commission for some of that messaging? So not really questions, but really, I want to make sure that we're all rowing in the same direction, and that there are still these processes and steps for the commission to be involved and bring forth concerns that we hear from residents. That's my shortest comment, I think, ever.
I was impressed.
Anything else?
That's it for now.
Okay.
I'll save it for later.
Vice Chair Fox?
Thank you.
Yeah, I have some quick questions on this one. Whoa. Sorry. I'm trying to think about how to phrase this question. It's not complicated, but I appreciate that these changes will allow the department to address safety and accessibility issues faster. What I want to make sure doesn't happen is that those changes, which I perceive in the most part to be positive, right? Like, for me, I'm thinking about the no turn on red. I think that was an example that was given, right? Or was it a stop sign one?
No right on red.
Yeah, the no right on red one, right? For me, in almost every case, like, that is a perceived safety improvement benefit, and I want to make sure they can't be taken away as easily as they're going to be able to be implemented. Does that question make sense?
It totally makes sense.
Okay.
For example, we discussed the possibility of stop signs.
Mhm.
I mean, these things, as you know, they're very prescriptive.
Mhm.
The MUTCD has a warrant analysis. It's a technical analysis and says this is the right thing to do. There are stop signs in the city of Burlington that are unwarranted. People think that they increase safety. They don't. They actually decrease safety, but that's another debate for another time. And we decided, let's not do stop signs because that can get a little too political. But a no right on red, that's also very prescriptive. It's got a technical analysis and we follow it. So understand that we are aware of the political element that can come along with these things, and that we respect the commission and the oversight that you guys bring to the table. And honestly, it's very helpful for us too, because it does make us sharpen our pencils to do our work to the benefit of the public.
I think the guardrails in place for this particular example is that we have to use the engineering standards to justify the action. So if there is not an engineering standard that we can rely upon to remove a no right turn on red, then we wouldn't be following the kind of the guidelines set in place for how we appropriately take this delegated authority.
What if the standards change? Sorry. Anyway, and then one other quick clarifying question, just to make sure I'm understanding how this works in process. So, say all of these changes go through, the authority is delegated to staff, and you're able to change things without commission approval. Are those changes then considered interim, and then they're brought back before the commission for like final real approval, or like just clarifying?
Yes.
Okay, wanted to make sure I heard that correctly. Thank you.
If I could just interject, just to add a little bit more clarity, Assistant City Attorney, could you just point out in the language where that is stated. I think that's a piece I maybe missed when I was reading through it.
Yeah, so that's primarily, so okay, there's two things. There's the ordinance that we're proposing to bring to council, and that just indicates that your commission could, but does not have to, but could delegate authority to staff in certain cases. And so that ordinance just identifies the types of issues, the safety and accessibility that you could delegate. What will, if this passes through council, then what will come before you is attached at the end of the attachments. We wanted to put it in front of you now so you knew what we were going to propose later if that passes. And you can see at the end of it, starting around PDF page 16, the draft language that we would, if council gives you that authority, we're showing you now so you can start thinking about it. And this won't come before you until November, but we're showing you now the draft language that staff intends to bring to you if you get that authority to delegate. And it's in that language that we're showing you the kinds of safeguards we would envision. So number one, things would have to come, through, in the case of school safety, through a request from the school district, or from new information that staff gets from safety studies, or from changed circumstances. That's the first trigger. And then the decision would have to be based on public safety standards. And then an additional guardrail is that that's only interim. It does still have to come before you to be inserted in the code at some point. So that's how we're envisioning doing this. So first safeguard is council would have to delegate you that authority, and it's limited to certain circumstances. Next safeguard is you would have the option to exercise that authority or not. And if you do it in the way we intend to propose, then there would be those safeguards. What triggers that? The safety standards and the fact that it then has to come back before you and get published in the code.
Great, thank you.
And if I may just ask a clarifying question, as I understand it, Assistant City Attorney Ramakrishnan, should the commission be concerned with any of the delegation even after they have delegated, it would be a relatively simple change to remove that delegation by the commission acting to change Appendix C, correct?
Right. The commission, if they didn't like something in the interim, they could bring it, a member of the commission could bring it forward sooner, than it would normally come up in the queue to make that change back. And the commission would have the power to pull back the delegation at any time. What we're bringing to council right now is just the ability for you to delegate, and then that delegation would come later, and it could always be pulled back.
Just to point out, I mean, it's a delegation, but it's really a temporary one. If you read through it, it does say at the end, within a reasonable time after making such designation, change or modification, DPW staff, the Public Works Director or designee, which would be us, shall propose to the Traffic Commission a formal amendment to whatever it is. So we still have to bring it before the commission for the formal approval and the formal amendment. So I guess we still have to go through the same process. We're just a little bit more nimble. Staff are able to make a decision quickly because if the city engineer or one of us, this is kind of it's a safety issue and we need to respond. So we can respond, we take care of it, then we bring it to the commission and you go, wait a second, maybe you guys went a little too far. Maybe we need to think about this a little bit. What's the compromise here? Because that's always a possibility too.
Great, thank you. Any other comments?
Nope.
Commissioner Barr?
I actually don't have any comments. I remember discussing this before, and it kind of makes sense.
Commissioner Hayes?
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions. First, a commenter earlier mentioned the Traffic Commission versus the Public Works Commission, and I was also curious about potentially trying to just globally replace it, but I do recognize there may be other concerns like a charter somewhere or having to do this elsewhere other than this document. So maybe you can clarify whether that's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the commission's desire, and if you want to amend the motion to direct us to do that, I can do that. I have a personal preference for doing it the way I did it rather than a global change, just because I've been caught in situations before where you think you caught all the times you had to change it and you missed one. And it's been in code calling you the traffic commission for so long that we're just all sort of used to it. I just thought the clarification would be a nice update. It was almost an afterthought, really. But we can do that however the commission wants, understanding this is just my slight personal preference.
And I mean, I think it makes sense either way. I was just curious. And then a question regarding the public engagement plan and the concerns that have already been raised, which I kind of had them as well. But at the same time, recognize that, when there's a safety issue, want you to be able to do your job and not have things held up because we haven't had a commission meeting. You say you are going to continue to consult the public engagement plan. Is that codified anywhere in the ordinance? Is that just something that you follow? Would it make sense to consider adding that to? My concern would be that we somehow give up an opportunity for public input. And I wouldn't want to lose that, even though I know it sounds like it would be brought to us eventually, but just curious what your thoughts are there.
The timing is really good. We do have the public engagement plan, which is available online, and I'd be happy to direct you to that if you haven't seen it. It was brought to the commission many years ago, a couple of rounds of that to kind of hash out what the best practices should be for most of the universe of our projects. I think shortly before your tenure started, we came back with kind of a progress report and a future look at how we're going to evolve the plan. So we're actually planning on bringing it back before the end of the year to have the commission once again review a renewed version of the public engagement plan and get your take on best practices. So to your question now, I think I can work with Senior Transportation Planner Peterson and his team and figure out where that fits in and make sure that that's codified. But essentially it is codified now, but given the dynamic here and what's changing, we'd be happy to make sure that that's reflected in the appropriate way. And then we'd also be coming back in the future to talk globally about the plan.
That would be great.
It is not in ordinance or in statute, though, or council ordinance. So the plan, the public engagement plan, is a staff-driven document that we have. Should there want to be greater prescription, then we could have a discussion with the commission about where it would need to sit.
In terms of putting it into the ordinance, because I heard that as being part of the question, in the language that is currently in front of you that we would intend to bring back in November if the council grants you this delegation authority, it doesn't mention the public engagement plan. And I would just ask you to, if you wanted to add that, and I would just ask you to sort of think carefully about how we want to do that, because the goal here is to be nimble to respond quickly to safety issues and accessibility issues. And so, we could say that staff shall endeavor, to follow it, for example, but I wouldn't want to, if we have an immediate safety issue, an immediate accessibility issue, I wouldn't want to add something into the code that hampers staff so much that it sort of defeats part of the purpose. So I'd want it to sort of be like a sliding scale where staff uses best efforts that are appropriate under the circumstances. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just thought it's worth thinking about how if we do want to consider including it somewhere, but I hear what you're saying. We don't want that to be an impediment to action, particularly around safety issues. But I too, when I look at especially the right turn restrictions, and also come from a place of, once you put something in, sometimes it is harder to take it away, and just wanting to make sure that we are considering residents' input before we're taking action. And so I think that's fair to give it another look to see whether it's worth including some kind of language, but that won't impede action. And then my last question is just around the, hold on a second, just see where I went. Just around the timing of when it would get back to us, and there's no kind of timeline associated with it. And again, I understand why it would be vague, but it might be worth considering some kind of, or I'm just curious if it's worth considering some kind of sunset clause, even if it's 3 months, or not necessarily putting a timeline associated with it. Again, I am a little bit concerned about, you know, when something would come back to the commission. Would we be getting an update if something were, you know, a safety measure were to take place? Are we going to get regular updates on that? When would we be talking about it? I think that's it.
I don't know if you're looking for a response, but I think, you know, this, if council gives you this authority, the changes to Appendix C will come back to you later this year. And I think these are all really good suggestions for us to think about, and for you also to think about what you want to see. Because again, right now, we're just asking council to let you make that delegation, but we're not making that delegation yet. So we have some time to think about how we word that. And I appreciate your thoughts and comments in this discussion.
Yeah, and the staff agrees that we have time to, these are all good comments, and we can look at revising the sample Appendix C language we gave you that is not going to be acted on tonight.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, thanks. I've got several things, some of which might be better as like line item emails or something, but I did want to bring up a few things. So one, what happens if someone, not a commissioner, but some other person or entity disputes the standards that are being applied to make a change that's been delegated?
I guess I don't understand the question. Could you?
So if we were to like have a no parking zone, we designate it as a no parking zone, signs go up, and now they're there, someone disputes it, and it hasn't gone to the commission yet. I'm trying to clarify.
So someone disputes on the basis that the standard is being misapplied. Like, so the guardrail is the standards, the engineering safety standards. So if someone is disputing the application of those standards, what would happen?
It would probably come up, if somebody were to dispute it, it would come up in the context of somebody challenging a ticket, for example. I mean, it sort of happens all the time. I mean, there's lots of examples in the law where, you know, a legislative body has which you are when it comes to Appendix C, has the ability to delegate authority to, you know, another public official or body to make certain rules. And when you make that kind of a delegation, you have to include a standard. And here the standard is it shall comport with public safety standards. And somebody could always, if they've been, you know, charged or ticketed for violating a rule, they could always say, well, you didn't follow, you public official who was given the delegated authority didn't follow the correct standard. And, you know, the court would determine that, and the court is supposed to grant a certain amount of fair discretion, but not total discretion to the decision maker. And it's just kind of it's just kind of the way things work. It happens all the time when there's delegated authority. And so if you're going to delegate authority, you're going to get into that world where people might make those arguments, and they almost always fail. But because courts are supposed to apply a certain amount of trust and deference to public officials.
Okay, part of where I'm coming from is seeing the commission and us as like a kind of shield for the department and the actual staff, where like we are making you make the recommendation, we make the final decision, and therefore we're the ones approving the thing. I think this is a good idea overall. I should have started with that. That delegating safety things, like essentially things that if it's not an emergency already, it could create an emergency. It makes sense to act on that quickly, but I don't want to lose the capacity that I feel the commission has as a kind of shield for the department. So part of my thought is, and this may be too onerous, but is it possible outside of commission meetings for commissioners to approve something? Meaning if you're like...
No.
Gotcha, okay.
You're making a good point, which is a primary reason, you know, we decided that even if you delegate this authority, staff should still have to bring it back as soon as possible to get your final approval and to actually get into Appendix C for exactly the reason you're stating. But there is kind of a, you know, sort of risk benefit especially the one that concerns me the most is accessible parking spaces, because there is a federal law saying we have to accommodate people. And we do need to act reasonably quickly to accommodate them. And in sort of the weighing of the risks, I would rather get them the space knowing that somebody who ignores accessible parking signs, who by the way is an awful person in that case if they do it on purpose, if they want to fight that and say that we misapplied the standard, I'd rather fight that fight than the fight of not giving somebody what they need because of a disability.
I agree, and I think there's a moral imperative whether or not there's a federal kind of requirement to those sorts of things. Okay, well, I guess then if you don't feel the shield is needed, then that is fine. But if ever it's needed again, then it can be changed.
Yeah, I feel the shield is needed, but it's a balancing of the risks is what I'm trying to say.
And I would just add that from staff's perspective, the shield is still existing for the host of 90% of other issues that you all still have authority for. It's just for these limited subset of actions that your shield is acting on after staff acts. But for all the large contentious stuff, you all are still the decision makers, and we will continue to bring recommendations prior to action.
And even after we do it, it's still going to come back to the commission.
Yeah, I acknowledge that is going to happen, but I also know that there's inertia, costs to implement mean costs to unimplement. So there's kind of a if it's already done, why would we bother not doing it kind of situation. But it's fitting with standards. It's a safety thing. I totally get it. I just don't. I guess want to not think about something before it is delegated. But I think it's a good idea overall. So then there were two sections, and this might be kind of a language thing that is not, that's already been changed elsewhere in ordinances and therefore does not matter here. But somewhere chief of police is changed to parking enforcement officer, which seems like a pretty big change because it's someone that we as the commission have no oversight over to someone that we do have oversight over, is my understanding of the parking enforcement officer. So to me, that kind of changes the nature of what the ordinance is saying. And I didn't know if that, like I said, has already been done somewhere in the ordinance elsewhere, or if that has any implications that are maybe bigger than we might think about in this meeting.
A lot of the other changes that we're looking at here, aside from the delegation, the point of them is that, so for example, the parking meter thing that I think was misunderstood and led to some communications earlier this week. Really, the only change was that we already don't have parking meters everywhere that we have metered parking. We're already using kiosks, but the ordinance doesn't really reflect that. It still speaks of parking meter hoods in situations where there may not be a parking meter to put a hood on. So we're just trying to update the language to reflect what's already happening. And it's the same with what you're referencing here. Some time ago, parking enforcement used to be in the police department, and then it was moved into DPW. And the ordinance doesn't reflect that change, and it should. And so we're just trying to update that.
So it's something that it's already happening this way. This is just codifying it in the ordinance.
Right. Just in the interest of full transparency, I'll say there's kind of like three categories of changes we're looking at. There's the delegation, there's the stuff I just described where it's already happening this way, but the ordinance is way behind the times. So we're trying to bring the ordinance up to the 1990s, basically. It's older than that. The third change, and this is one that Ms. Busher commented on, just to make sure that we're also talking about it because it is a little bit of a bigger change, is right now, our ordinance calls for parking enforcement to tow in almost, I'm exaggerating slightly, but only slightly, in almost any case that there's a parking violation. And that's not typical practice in most cities, and it results in us towing more than, frankly, feels necessary, and it also results in a lot more tickets being challenged than maybe would happen if people just got ticketed. And so there is a change in there in 2071 where we're trying to sort of narrow the circumstances where somebody would get towed. And one of the changes that's added in the supplemental memo is there's one that should have been added, and frankly, I didn't think of it, which was the car share spaces. So we're proposing that you add that to that list too. But we're trying to add a comprehensive list where it makes sense to actually tow. And that's the third category here, the third bucket.
Know that that's a general practice that's occurring around the city. I don't know that I agree with the practice fundamentally. So one hypothetical is that the payment processor increases the processing fees, and then because there aren't easy ways to pay like at a meter or pay through a non-credit card or debit card method, then that results in a functional higher parking rate that was not kind of intended or authorized. So I don't know if that is a positive change. I'd rather see kind of a transparency, I guess ironically, a less transparent situation that creates more transparency, which is that the price people pay includes the fee, but it's a price that has to be approved and go through the normal process rather than a potential increase that is as a result purely of the payment processor or agreements with them. So I don't know what, I don't know if that is something that can be controlled or that we have any power over, or if it's like a more general city policy that can't be changed. But I wanted to point that out as something that I think warrants more conversation and discussion. So I don't know what that means in the context of this being something that's going to be presented to multiple groups and then come back to us and that sort of thing. But I wanted to point it out.
Yeah, so the process for that part is, as we talked about, there's a piece of this relating to the delegation that will still have to come back to you. For the stuff that council approves, it would need your recommendation tonight, then it would go to council for first reading, then to ordinance committee to be studied extensively, and then to council for second reading, and then it would be in effect after 21 days of being published. And so that piece won't necessarily come back here tonight. So if you do have concerns, this is the forum to talk about it. I will say that that's consistent with current practice, and I've been of the opinion that we could technically do it without the ordinance, but just since we're already doing it, I'd like, to use your shield analogy, I'd like to put it in the ordinance to make it clear that we have that authority, and our current contracts with those vendors, it assumes that that's how we're doing things. I mean, the reason I feel that we're already on good ground with that is that people technically still have the ability to pay with coinage if they choose to do that. I know it's not as convenient as with a card, but it is a choice. And so if they make that choice, then they're choosing to pay the convenience fee. The other part of that is those, as people know, because you see restaurants adding these fees back in and things like that all over the place. These fees, these credit card company fees are going up and up and up and up and up, and they've increased a lot in the last few years. And if we had to pay for that out of the parking fund, I'm not sure, I'm not the one to speak of the parking fund's budget, but I'm not sure it could support it because the rates that the credit card companies charge is just is growing rapidly. So given that consumers technically have a choice, and given that that's just a hard burden for the city to handle, that's the way it's been done already.
Well, I guess I still have not read Robert's Rules of Order. So I don't know what I would need to do to, I guess, not recommend this particular change. But the other piece that I want to mention is that I think I think convenience and processing fees are kind of starting to become more like a reasonable payment option fee, which is different from, like, say, the 90s or something. And so I think it's worth examining this more closely personally. So don't know what I need to do, but I would like to do something related to that language.
I mean, I guess since I'm your legal advisor, I did answer your question. And it's that you could move, if you're the maker of the motion, you could move it without that language, or you could propose a friendly amendment to the maker of the motion if you still want the rest of it to go forward.
We'd still have to vote on that adjusted motion.
Yes.
So you make it friendly.
Well, I guess what I don't know that it would be friendly
We call it.
in this context.
Well,
Okay.
then you could move to amend, and then the commission where they go back to the main motion. So anyways, I mean, if that's the route we decide to go when we get to that, or we can certainly,
That's right.
Okay, then I think I would like to propose a.
We haven't finished the
Gotcha.
comments or public forum. So we'll
Oh,
get to
yes,
that
you're
in a
right.
second.
Okay, I will write it down.
Great.
Yeah.
Commissioner Matano?
All right, this all seems like a very no-nonsense ordinance with regards to parking enforcement, and I support it going forward to the full council. Moving ahead to the Appendix C changes that might, in fact, return to us, I also could see how this updated language could affect how we do our work here as a commission. And I could cite some specific examples that have come up over the past few years. I think the no parking on South Union Street in the vicinity of Edmonds Elementary and Middle School could be one really good example. Absolutely. And maybe we could start there. What does it mean on a practical level? How could implementing changes at the scale of 1 or 2 parking spots change with this updated authority granted to us by ordinance and by some of these specific Appendix C changes? So how might the public actually perceive this change when it comes to making these sorts of updates to how we do parking enforcement in our city?
Are you proposing the current staff or the council?
I think more so to the Public Works Commission itself. I think I'd like to think I support the ordinance language fully, but like on a practical level, if anyone has any insight on that, that could be helpful.
I mean, I think ultimately what the public is going to see is that we will make best efforts to follow the public engagement plan. So if it's less than 3 spaces, there may be a flyer that is distributed, and people would be asked for their opinion before we act. We then act, and then if a resident has concern, then we would let them know that it was coming to the commission for formal approval, and that the resident would have the opportunity to present their case in front of you to argue against its formal adoption. If it's more than 3 spaces, and we definitely do more public outreach and engagement up front, people are going to hear about it who are directly affected, direct stakeholders, and they will have an option to talk to staff. Staff may act without their concurrence. Then their recourse is either, if they get a ticket, they can go through what Assistant City Attorney Ramakrishnan said, appeal the ticket, or they can come here to appeal the formal approval of whatever ordinance we've put in place.
Right.
I'll just add for some commentary. I think that, if anything, this sort of adjusted process, we talk a lot about sort of pop-up projects or sort of tactical urbanism projects, and that's sort of the really more, not, I don't want to call it informal, but that's sort of the most informal of it, and this is sort of allowing the city to try out certain things, but you know, I think people will be able to comment more on things that they see in person than maybe what the flyer or poster or some other thing may go out.
We do have pilot projects.
Right, there is a standard.
This would be different.
Correct.
So when we have a pilot project, that would be handled the way that a pilot project is supposed to be handled. This is more like a safety issue or an accessibility issue.
Yeah, understood. I think it just gets it in front of folks more easily than, say, a flyer or some other sort of form of communication.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think I understand. So with regards to the school zone in particular, I see that's one of the Appendix C changes. What has the barrier been? Has it just been the lack of language in city ordinance actually authorizing any city body to make these kinds of changes? Like, why has this been such a long, drawn-out discussion to what seems like a real practical change?
Right, I think the barrier is just the process as it's currently laid out, it's time. So if a request comes in, say, 3 days before a commission meeting, there's no way we can get a request on that commission meeting. We need to do the evaluation, then we have to put, you know, a memo together and then get it to the next commission. And then once the commission acts on it, then we have to publish it. And then there's a 21-day period before the ordinance is live. So it can take 2 months to act.
Sometimes 3.
Yeah, sometimes 3. And it used to be that we had a backlog of these requests and we couldn't bring them to the commission for a couple of months. And so then we're 4 to 5 months out for a request and for a handicap parking space or another safety concern. I think that puts the city at a substantial risk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, accessible parking, thank you.
Sure.
Yes, yeah. The language update with regards to that in the ordinance, I think, is another big change that should be acknowledged as we are reviewing these ordinances. Some of them, right, are ancient, you know, by some regard. That the fact that we are reviewing this all together as a commission and in public here, all around feels right, and it seems that like delegating this authority definitely feels right. These are all good changes that reflect how the department has been working, right, and how the department and commission together can achieve these things. Yeah.
Mega kudos to Eric and the work that he's done.
I must say.
Modernize the language, because there is just a lot of ancient language in there that is completely inappropriate. And so we're updating our software, for lack of a better term.
Thank you.
A lot of he's.
City attorney.
That's right. That's right. And so that needed to go as well.
Any other comments, Commissioner Matano?
No more comments. Thank you.
Great. I don't have any. We'll move to hopefully a brief public comment. Is there anyone in the room that has public comment on this agenda item? Anyone online, Rob, for this agenda item?
No, we do not have anyone signed up.
Great. So this is an action item. There was an adjusted motion in email that Director Spencer sent, I believe, earlier today regarding the car share adjustment and staff discretion. Looking for a motion on the adjusted, looking for a motion on the adjusted motion that was provided by staff.
I'd like to make a motion to accept staff's recommendation for this step in the process.
Great.
Moving forward to City Council.
Looking for a second?
I will second the supplemental language in the amended motion that Director Spencer sent out.
Any discussion on the motion or second?
I'm not sure.
This would be the time.
Okay.
This would be the time.
Okay. Then I think I would like to make a potentially friendly motion to remove the payment processing element from the amended motion. I think that is what I'm doing.
And I'm
So your request is an amendment to strike 2884C. So it goes to the maker of the motion, and then the maker of the motion can say yes or no.
Goes back to Commissioner Barr.
I don't want to be unfriendly, but having been in the parking world, I understand that because there are several options available to anybody who wants to park somewhere, the convenience of using a credit card or a debit card is their choice. And I agree that if the fees are then encumbered by the traffic fund or the department or the city versus the person using it, then it could become a challenge for the budget and future parking rates. So I am not willing to accept the friendly amendment.
So then the commissioner who proposed the friendly amendment is free to either accept that or to move to amend the main motion.
Even if the motion is on the floor, so.
Right, so we had a request for friendly amendment, it was rejected. The person who requested the friendly amendment can now say, well, then I move to amend the original amendment to also strike this language. And if there's a second, then you vote on that before you go back to the main motion.
Am I able to speak on the motion, or?
If you make the motion and it's seconded, then you're free to speak on it. That's the point of a second, is to open up the discussion.
Okay, then I guess I am now making a motion to amend the amended motion.
You're making you're making a motion on the sort of amended motion that, partially with the staff update from earlier today.
Yes.
With striking, assuming with striking the section that was cited earlier.
Yes.
Is there a second on this adjusted motion? Is that a second?
Yeah, second.
Great. Discussion? Any discussion on this particular? Yep,
Can I
go
speak
ahead.
on it? So it's not that I don't acknowledge the realities of the budget situation and that processing fees can be expensive. That's not what gives me pause about this change in the ordinance. What gives me pause about the change in the ordinance is that it is increasingly inconvenient to pay through non-credit card methods, especially when we're using, like, say, Park Mobile. Park Mobile has an app to pay. And with that situation, I think incorporating the transaction fees into the parking rates is the more transparent and fairer way to implement them. I think that does a couple things. One, it incentivizes either the city or the Public Works Department or a larger entity to negotiate cheaper transaction fees that might be possible by an individual. And it also means that fees that people don't have any control over, that change, that are not directly passed on to the consumer immediately without a chance for either comment by the public, changes by the department or the commission, or otherwise. So it's not that people shouldn't pay so that the budget is not overly encumbered by processing fees. It's that those should be incorporated in such a way that they're not opaque to the individuals that are paying.
If I could, I was just going to ask staff if the city has sort of a policy on sort of how far apart the stanchions, I forget what they're called, but the kiosks, exactly. Do we have a policy on sort of how many we need to have in a particular parking area?
We don't have a policy on that. I think we say, I want to say it's less than 10 spots for a kiosk, but if I were to put it in minutes, it would be probably half a minute away, a walking distance from the vehicle to the closest kiosk. The garages would be different. There's 3 located on the first floor of Marketplace, and there's 3 around the downtown garage.
generally we've been putting at least one kiosk per block.
Every block, yep.
In the downtown. You may have to cross the street, but it would be within the block segment that you park.
And so can I just
Yep, go ahead.
clarify? So the kiosks as well as the meters, you can see which ones accept like the Park Mobile as well as like there's a coin meter. So, can I ask you a
Yeah.
question? So is the issue just accessibility, availability of the kiosk close to where you park the car, or, and it might be three things, so it might not be either or. The transparency, and this is the parking rate. When you have your Park Mobile thing, there's usually what the extra fee is. So I see that if I do Park Mobile. Are you looking for broader communication? And then maybe, and this is the third one, so it's not or, making sure that the city is at least negotiating, or if there's any kind of negotiation between the city and the credit card processing, Park Mobile, whatever, that we are trying to, as much as possible, negotiate a reasonable fee so that it isn't exploitative. So those are the things that I'm wondering on.
Well, and those are kind of all three of those things I think are important. To the degree that I don't think a blanket just saying, yes, anytime someone is paying for parking, the person paying for the parking is responsible for the processing fee. Yeah, I think all three of those factor in somewhat to varying degrees. The other piece of it is kind of at another layer up, the cost of the kiosks and taking the coins out of them and those other things are also a processing fee, but those are hidden in a way that the other fees are not, the like credit card, et cetera fees. And if we have posted parking rates, then someone goes there probably expecting to pay the posted rate. But then if they go to pay by credit card, now they're not paying the posted rate, they are likely to be surprised by the cost that they wound up paying, or they might be surprised. And it is clear, like I'm not arguing that the Park Mobile app doesn't distinguish clearly what amount you're paying in the processing fee, but I think it's, I'm not a fan of the practice, I guess for multiple
Yeah,
reasons.
just trying looking at like the difference here versus online.
I think it's like a minimum of 74 cents or something weird. I think it recently went up to that. I could be wrong.
So,
yeah, sorry.
That's
You
okay.
would know.
So we renegotiated Park Mobile. Our contract ended in January of this year. We renegotiated as of July 1 for a new contract. So previously it was 30 cents per transaction, no matter what. With that, we paid approximately $300,000 a year in credit card transaction fees. These budgets that these fees are associated with are struggling. One is $3 million in debt, the other is barely scraping by. So that was one part of why we're doing this. If we had taken, so previously, of the 30 cents, which is a less transaction fee than other neighboring towns, UVM, Winooski, both use Park Mobile. Of the 30 cents, Park Mobile got 25, the city got 5. So that we offset the transaction fees by a little bit. Park Mobile was done with the profit sharing portion of that. So we would have paid more than the $300,000. I don't have the exact number in my head right now. So now the minimum fee is $35, which is still less than neighboring towns. We did negotiate. We have a great relationship with Park Mobile, so we do a lot of transactions with them. The fee is reduced, so it ranges from 35 cents minimum to $2.50. So just as a quick example, in July, August, and September of 24, there was 280,000-ish transactions on Park Mobile. Of that 280,000, 203,000, which is 72%, paid only the additional 5 cents. So 35 cents instead of 30 cents. A total of 28 transactions paid the $2.50. So 14% paid 49 cents. So most most transactions, 91% paid 49 cents and under. So the city is saving a lot of money. I understand where you're coming from. I will say that staff was surprised. So this went into effect as of July 7th because of an issue with the CT office, but not one single person has complained about it since July 7th. So we were expecting people to email and say, oh my gosh, my fee went up. Not one.
Okay, yeah, thank you for all that information. I don't know where I got 74 cents from then, but
It's a sliding scale.
Yeah,
So maybe your most popular.
Yeah, my highest one or
Yes,
something.
it was 74 cents.
Commissioner McKenna?
So just to clarify, these fees are already being charged. This
Yes.
just puts it into ordinance that this is in fact authorized.
Right, like I indicated,
Yeah.
I feel we already have the authority to do this because it's technically optional. People can walk to the kiosks, 30 seconds away and put in coins. But belt and suspenders, like we talked about in some other things tonight, since we're updating the ordinance anyways, it seemed prudent to add it.
Yeah, like I said before,
That's
it
your product.
all around feels right that this ordinance actually reflects what's going on in the city beyond just the policies that we're crafting and discussing here.
Can I
Yep,
speak again? I guess then, part of this is, I believe it says always, and I would feel better if it even just said, we may cause the person who's making the payment to pay the processing fee, but not that it always is done.
Is it because it has shall? Is that the?
It says it's whenever, so, yeah, I mean, I'm always open to creating greater flexibility. Circumstances may change. Maybe at some point, Congress actually passes a law to protect us from these fees. So that seems like a reasonable suggestion if the commission is open to it. I would want to sort of play with the language a little bit. I'm not sort of ready to propose an immediate change, but the motion could reflect that we do change 2084C to give the city that discretion without making it mandatory.
Okay, yeah, I would prefer that. And the other thing, this is language related as well, is it says persons, and I was thinking it might be better to be more broad than persons. I don't know. I've not looked at the definition of persons in the ordinances. It might be somewhere else, but just saying the entity that is paying is responsible or something like that.
So typically in any kind of statutory type language, person means a jurisdictional person and individual means a human being. So person is already sort of broad enough to encompass non-human persons.
That is a very strange way to phrase it, but okay.
have
not on you. On
If we have
the,
robots
on
out there
the
trying to
statute.
park, maybe.
Well, a business.
Long ago, our Supreme Court decided that a corporation is a person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's law in person.
But well, yeah, and that was part of it too. Is like a business could be paying, or say the city council could be paying, like we saw last time. Okay, well, I guess.
Would you like to adjust your motion to reflect what Assistant City Attorney recommended?
Yes, at this point, yes.
Great. Second on the amended motion?
Second.
Great. Any discussion on the new motion?
And to clarify, just for the public, that this is
three motions
an
on the table.
amended motion to basically give the city discretion as to when we require the parker, the person, to have to cover the processing fees.
Correct. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
I was going to say no.
Nay for you?
Yeah.
Great. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
6-1. Okay.
So now you go back to the main motion, which now incorporates this.
I was going to say, aren't there three motions on the table? I don't know.
No, I mean, your original motion incorporated the staff recommendation, which necessarily included the changes we proposed before the meeting. And then we just had an amendment to that that's now part of your motion now because it passed. So now we're sort of back to your motion as amended. So the motion is recommend this to council with the changes in the supplemental memo, plus this additional change that 2084C will now reflect optional language rather than making it mandatory.
So that was Jim's original motion.
My second.
Your second. Discussion on that, and so now Commissioner Hayes.
I just have a process question. So if we all agree to move forward and put this in front of council, it sounds like you're still able to take what was heard tonight and some of the discussion and concerns and amend language further, or are they only going to see what's in front of us now in addition to the amendment that we just passed? Does that make sense? Are you going to be able to modify the proposed language later after this meeting and then bring it back to us, or can you just clarify that a little bit?
It won't need to come back to you unless you direct that. My intent is to mark up the existing language with the changes we've discussed. Take it to council on first reading. Typically, council puts first readings on the consent item on the consent agenda and doesn't really discuss them at that point, although they could. It goes from council to the ordinance committee, and that's where there's kind of a larger discussion where they literally go line by line and look at every single word and mark it up. And then their marked up version goes back to the council on second reading for final approval. So from here, the process is, unless you want it to come back to you, we'll just make the changes you're directing, put it before council with the staff, substantially the same staff report, and also say that, we made these changes per your recommendations. They'll send it to ordinance committee. Then some more marking up could occur. Not that we're doing that. The ordinance committee is recommending it. Then second reading. Does that answer your question? Make some sense? Or?
Yeah, no, it does answer my question. I guess where I'm coming from is I, would be interested in seeing, I don't have a particular language update to propose, but I am also interested in taking a closer look at the, reasonable time language, making sure that we still are considering the public input aspect, kind of if it could be any more clearer when we would, the commission would see the changes that are potentially made without going through us first. I just feel like there's a lot of vagueness, and so I would be fine agreeing to put it forward now, but would probably want to see it again before it's fully approved.
Let me clarify that, because the reasonable time language, there's kind of two ordinances that we're talking about. We're in some sense getting ahead of ourselves on purpose to be transparent, right? So this, in terms of the delegation, this ordinance just says that the city council would be allowing you to make certain delegations. It doesn't sort of get into the super finer details about what guardrails would be around those delegations. If this passes, then we would still have to take the actual delegation language back to you, and that would probably happen in around November. So what you're talking about, you definitely will get to see again, because council is just letting you pull a trigger, but it's you who gets to pull a trigger, and it's you who gets to build the guardrails around the trigger. Does that? Okay.
I appreciate the clarity. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this is messy stuff. So I appreciate the questions to give me a chance to explain things maybe better that I didn't explain very well before. So I appreciate that.
And I'd maybe just ask Director Spencer if, as it goes through the process, even to the sort of council, the different sort of council pieces, just to keep the commission sort of up to date. Yeah.
That sounds good. And yes, Commissioner Hayes, we definitely look forward to engaging you robustly on what Appendix C language looks like once the council does give us that authority.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on this motion and second?
Super briefly. Eric, I just want to thank you very much for bearing with me through all this and the work you've already put into it. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I understand the frustration of credit card fees. It's a societal problem, and I feel that. So I appreciate the commentary on that too.
Hearing no other discussion points, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye for myself. Any nays? Ayes have it.
Thank you all very much.
Great, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 6, PlanBTV 2050 Transportation Plan. And I just asked if staff could be a little brief.
Oh, we'll be brief. We'll be brief. Like, I get to be Chapin.
As
Move that over there.
Spencer says,
I don't want to be
wait,
Chapin.
Charles.
I raise my hand, Rob.
I've put you forward.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
You don't want to be Chapin.
No, I don't. I don't. And I'm sure he doesn't want to be Philip. That'd be fun. It would be fun. It would be kind of fun to be Chapin. I'd have a caboose, a train in my backyard. Like, come on.
Bow tie.
You know what I'm saying? You could dress up. You can be
Myself?
to be you. So as I'm bringing this up, I guess before I totally get started, I think it would be really important to point out that Parsa is full-time. He's Public Works Engineer. I'm kind of taking away Chapin and Corey's thunder. Corey is Parsa's supervisor. We're really excited that Parsa's here. He's a very bright, sharp engineer that brings a lot of enthusiasm and intelligence to the team, and I'm very excited to work on the transportation plan with both Parsa and Julia. We make a pretty good trio, and now we're very excited to present this plan to you and the process it's pretty big. This is a pretty big plan. It's ambitious, and I think it's important to note that we've heard the mayor loud and clear, we've heard the city council loud and clear, and the public loud and clear. They want a combined effort when it comes to our planning. They don't want different elements of the city working in silos. They want us working together, and so we are. So this is PlanBTV 2050. The element that we're going to be focused on, the element that we're going to be managing is the transportation plan, or what you'll come to know as PlanBTV Mobility. And there's the team, Philip Peterson, myself, and Parsa.
I'm Parsa position incoming Parsa. I always say my last name is a little hard to pronounce. Public Works Engineer.
And then Julia's not here tonight. We're saving up her night meeting points. She goes to plenty of meetings already. Right, so I already kind of gave an introduction. So as I said, this is really 4 different plans. There's the comprehensive plan, PlanBTV 2050, which is being managed by the Office of City Planning. The transportation plan, which you're going to hear about a lot, and which we have talked about a lot already. We've been kind of talking about this for over a year. The parks, they're updating their comprehensive plan, and then we're creating a new economic development plan with CEDO, and I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth, but it's a holistic view. As I said, we're not working in silos, we're working together. Staff from each of those departments, we meet once a week, every Thursday. Come hang out with us, sometimes there's bagels. And we're trying to work in an interconnected way because everything is connected. So as I said, there's the comp plan, the Office of City Planning. That's going to be managed by Charles Dillard, the director of the Office of City Planning, and Sarah Morgan, our principal planners. And really, that's the meat, the foundation of the entire plan. There's a lot of goals around, you hear about Housing Act 181. We have some fairly, not what I would say aggressive, but necessary housing goals. On the low end, it's like 4,000 units. On the high end, it's 10,000, so we're kind of planning around that 7,000 unit goal for housing in the city of Burlington. And with housing is going to come all the other things that come along with it. They're also kind of steering the ship when it comes to taking all the other plans, like PlanBTV New North End, that was just wrapped up. And I mean, we have so many plans. We have so many plans. Then Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec is also updating their comprehensive plan. And this includes not only just the green spaces, but it also includes the waterfront and the inner and outer harbor. So it is a fairly comprehensive plan, and Sophie in Parks and Rec is managing that for Parks and Rec. So we're excited to work with them. And then CEDO, this is a brand new, we do not have an economic development plan. Will Clavel and Johanna Schneider from CEDO, they're the 2 folks that are helping manage the economic development plan. We're really excited to get into that. And as you can see, all the reasons up there, the rising rates of homelessness and the reduction in business revenue, taking an active role in developing an economic development strategy that's good for the city, good for the community. And then, of course, there's us, PlanBTV Mobility, an update to the transportation plan that is definitely overdue. The last time we updated the transportation plan was 2011. We have a lot of other plans that we've worked on, but this is a big one, and we'll probably be working with Green Mountain Transit a little bit. Chris, I'm sure, discussing it. And I'll turn it over to Parson. Josh, go for it, buddy.
Thank you very much for introducing me. I don't get to hear that many nice words often, so I appreciate it.
Oh, no.
No, he actually does.
He's great.
I was trying to be humble. So Flip gave a good context. So we have a transportation plan as of now, but it's super outdated. It's from 2011. It's a 20-pager. It's not super comprehensive. A lot has changed since then. We have significant development since then. We have a lot of new housing, as Philip mentioned, coming under Act 181 that we need to try to bring transportation up to speed. We can't let the housing happen and then be like, oh, we need transit, so it has to happen simultaneously. We need to plan for that. And also, we need to reassess, rethink some of our transportation policies. Community needs have changed since then. So all of these are reasons we need to update our transportation plan. Another thing is this is a very good opportunity. This is true for every other parts of the plan, like parks or of city planning. All of us have so many different plans. PlanBTV, White Bike Action Plan, New North End. And this is a very good opportunity for us to have all of these under one umbrella, not to redo any of these, but to use them to our advantage, cite them, and try to get a very comprehensive plan together. And you can find all of these projects in the link that is below there if you want to look at all of them. So what's the vision for PlanBTV Mobility for the transportation part of this PlanBTV? The first thing is we want to have a long-term mobility vision which aligns with our growth. For example, we want more walking and biking, we want safer community, more transit. And second is we want to integrate transportation with all these land use changes that has happened or will happen soon, and the housing. So this is the vision for the PlanBTV Mobility. What we want to get out of this plan is, well, we are starting with scenario-based planning. And what scenario-based planning is, we explore different future. We prepare for uncertainties. We look at different criteria. We make scenarios. For example, like what if we have 4,000 homes in the first year? What if we have 7,000? So each of these we explore. We also want to, as I mentioned, unify and prioritize what we do, like all the plans that we have ongoing, plans and recent plans, we want to have them all together and maybe even find new issues. We also want to create a guiding framework, basically a very clear structure of transportation investments, projects, so that we can refer to, use it for the next 10 years as a guiding framework. One thing we also want is we have plans to create metrics to measure this progress. So after 5 years, we want to know how much progress we've made. We want to have like clear indicators for that, to track plans, which is very important. And in the end, we want all of these to be realistic and actionable strategies. We want to have short-term, long-term, and we want to also acknowledge realities. Cars aren't going to disappear. They're going to be around. We are a rural context to some degree. So all of these, some political landscape, everything has to be considered and acknowledged in this plan. So there's a little lag here. So what's next for this plan? Okay, so right now we are at request for qualifications. So we are looking for consultants to come and do this plan.
Or a team of consultants.
Or a team of consultants, yes, because it's a big plan and it's not just transportation. So the RFQ was issued August 22nd. We have had a very successful pre-submission meeting with the consultants and those who were interested. About 20 firms or maybe even more showed up. And the proposals are due September 26th, and we are planning tentatively to start interviewing people October 10th to 15th. So after we have the proposals, we'll start interviewing. And the plan is planned to be adopted by 2027, March 2027. But there are some leeway to extend that based on the funding and the lines that we have. For municipality plans, it's March 2027, but for other parts of the plan, there's more leeway. And
so kind of our next steps over the next couple of months, in October, we'll be going to the NPAs to just get folks primed for what's coming. We'll also be doing some visioning workshops in October. I have some dates for those, which may seem a little bit silly because we don't have a consultant on board, but the reality is that we want to provide as many ingredients to consultants that we bring on board before they're here. We don't want consultants to be wasting a lot of their time getting the flour and the sugar, and we want to have as many ingredients ready for them, so when we do bring them on board, they have everything that they need. We have a community survey. It hasn't been posted yet, but that'll be coming soon, and then we'll also have a pack, and we'll hopefully be having a commissioner to participate in that. Here's some dates. We don't have to go over those. That'll just be posted to the Public Works page, so you can look at them later, and happy to answer some questions.
Great, thank you. I was actually going to start off with a question. I think one thing the commission talks a lot about is a lot of these plans, that is the community discussion around sort of the decision, and I'm curious, this isn't just for the transportation plan, but how is the city planning to sort of address that sort of reality of the world we live in, if at all? Like, a lot of decisions are already sort of made in through the planning process, and so, but then we rehash a lot of these things again.
It's relitigated.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, PlanBTV, walk, bike, we have very specific plans and ideas on what it is that we want to do. We go to install something, and then people get angry, and we have to relitigate it again. I mean, I don't know. The political landscape is, here, I'm going to hand this over to Jacob Spencer. I'll let him answer that question.
Sure. Yes, these plans are guidance. This is not ordinance. This is not a directive. It is guidance. That said, how seriously the council and the commission and the various departments, commissions want to carry out this plan is going to be an indication of its success or failure. I think we need to go through a process to hopefully get a strong enough base of political support that the council has a strong approval of this. If there's a strong or unanimous approval, that confers some support and direction. With that, I think it builds enough political capital to hopefully make some of the hard decisions that are going to be in this plan. Ultimately, a plan doesn't force the bodies like yourself to act, but it can guide the bodies. And one of the challenges of Burlington we can name is that we have diffuse power structure in Burlington with so many different bodies. To do the transformational change that a number of commissioners are seeking, it's really going to take us working in concert with many other bodies to be able to achieve your goals.
I would point out that we, as a team, have done hard things. I know we have. North Winooski is a project. We've done many hard things, and we will do them again. This plan will be that 10,000-foot view of what it is that we want to do to provide the transportation network for the future. And if we're given that guidance, we'll proceed with it, and we'll do the best we can.
Great. Thank you.
And I'd like to add something too. So this is also an opportunity to people to show, like, to express their vision. It's a very good opportunity to get feedback and like set our vision, like where we want to like put more focus. And this is, I think, the opportunity for especially transportation to have like a very broad reach.
But the entire plan. And,
Yeah,
and
and the entire
one of the major things that we talk about every Thursday as a group is the public engagement piece and how to maximize the public engagement around it so it's not the same group of people coming to every single meeting.
Thank you. Start over on the right, Commissioner Hayes.
Yeah, I'm super excited by this effort. I love the idea of consolidating plans, making everything kind of thematically together, and the future kind of forward-looking part of it. So I'm just excited to see where this goes. Question on whether, because I didn't see it in here, if you already have some benchmarks in mind of what municipalities are doing this really well from a planning perspective and also kind of an implementation perspective. You don't have to have an answer to that, but I'd be really curious, instead of reinventing the wheel, are you pulling from other places that are doing certain aspects super well? And then my next comment would be, there's obviously a high emphasis on safety and ensuring that the infrastructure can meet the future needs. I think a part of that that's sometimes missing in some of these plans is when I think about a vibrant downtown Burlington, I think about the small businesses and making sure that they're easy to access. So safety is a huge pillar, but also thinking about connections, supporting our businesses, tourism is a part of that too. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Right, that's why we're working with the folks from CEDO. So they're not on an island, we're not on an island. We'll be together so that there'll be separate plans, but we will be working on those plans together. As far as other communities go, at this stage, what Parsa and I have been doing is looking at our existing data and putting all that existing data together. And then when we get a consultant, working with them and our other colleagues and developing a holistic plan.
Yeah, and I want to, so we are putting this existing condition document, and I've already looked at so many different municipalities and communities that have done this. And it's not draft yet, but we can bring it in. But yes, to your point, we've looked at it, and Office of City Planning has done, because they are doing lots of engagement planning, and but speaking for transportation, yes, we've done. I spent 3 months during the summer to do that, so yeah.
Parsa summer.
Yeah, Parsa summer. But yes, that's definitely a big part of it. Reviewing plans, reviewing what they've done, and such.
Awesome.
Great. Commissioner Matano?
Hey, what could I say? This all feels very right. I definitely like the idea of there being a mobility umbrella. Just like in the past decade, there was the PlanBTV walk bike kind of centering this one part of mobility. Just moving around the city, especially as all of these changes are going to be going on in terms of demographics and new housing and everything. So how will this plan integrate these two separate past plans, right? The 2011 was the last comprehensive transportation plan, but then on top of that, there's also been PlanBTV walk bike and a bike master plan, the new North End plan. So sort of all of these things that have happened in the meanwhile, are they all going to be reviewed in the context of this new development? I guess my question is, like, what can we expect from the final document from the transportation perspective in light of all of the other stuff?
That's a great question.
We've
I wish I knew, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited. It's important it gets confusing. It really does. We have so many plans, and sometimes it's like, oh, what is it? You got a plan over here, you got a plan over there. PlanBTV walk bike is a walking, rolling plan, right? Active transportation plan, separate from like the transportation plan, which is also integrating things like transit And as Parsa had said, we have to deal with the realities. So the plan that we want to create, we have to deal with the reality that we're still going to have cars. We live in Vermont, and you know, folks still need to get around with cars. So what that finished product looks like will integrate previous planning efforts, and yeah, it won't just be on its own.
Yeah, so, yeah, you're right. So some of it, some of the newer plans like TDM or the walk bike that is being updated for 2025, some of them we can refer to. We don't have to redo things, especially like if it's focused on walking and biking, we don't have money to do that. And there are so many other gaps. So if something is outdated, if there's any gap, which I've already looked at, the consultants will look at, we'll go redo, we'll provide new recommendations. For what we've already done, we point out to the document, and that's how we have it under one umbrella. This is an ongoing project. We're not set and done on it, so it might have, maybe we have all the text in there too, but at this point, this is the plan to have to reference those that are new. And
Right, the plan for the plan.
Yeah.
Right, so basically by spring 2027, y'all are expecting a polished document from this team of consultants, basically encapsulating everything to do with mobility with the endpoint of 2050, how we anticipate it appearing by that calendar year.
Yep. And like other plans, we have the opportunity to have CEDO, and the firms will have some people that are very focused on transportation, economic development, and then they can like coordinate and do things that we were not able to do before, like help economic development with transportation, integrate land use, and this is a very good opportunity for that.
Encyclopedic, it kind of goes in a circle, all the different parts there. Yeah, sweet. Well, thank you for this update.
Yeah.
Vice Chair Fox?
Caught me mid-yawn, sorry.
It's all right, it's late, man. We're trying to fly through it.
I guess I don't really have anything on this, and I'm excited about it as well. And I guess the one thing I'll say is, Philip, I appreciate what you said about thinking about what we've heard already and trying to ask different questions, because I feel like that's part of what we think about with public engagement around these kinds of projects all the time. And your friends at CCRPC can help you with that.
Yeah, CCRPC is part of it.
Yeah, you guys are paying for most of it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But specifically, not that I worked on this project at CCRPC, but there is a countywide community engagement tracker that's tracking, attempting to, what public engagement has been happening and what is it saying and how can we look at it and ask different questions and make sure we're getting at what we're really trying to get at. So I hope that is helpful. And
Well, you bring up a really good point. I mean, the CCRPC is that connector, because we have all these other surrounding communities, Colchester, Winooski, Essex, South Burlington. These are all our partners in a lot of these projects too. So what we do will definitely connect and affect those other communities.
that's it.
Great. Commissioner Barr?
Sure, thanks. I've been on the commission for a while, and we've talked about transportation plans for a while.
Oh, yes.
And I like the way this one seems to be gaining some momentum. I'm very supportive of this, and I like the idea, too, that it's going to connect other entities, not only within the city, but as we just discussed, with other surrounding communities, because any of these isolated, siloed plans won't function unless they're connected to everything around them. So transportation is something that we all, maybe even sometimes unknowingly, have to do, because you got to get somewhere, and you always use transportation to get there, whether it's walking, biking, bus, car. So this is something very important. We need to have a roadmap, so no pun intended. Well, pun intended. Appreciate it. Thanks.
BRT.
Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, just a couple things, and thanks for your work on this and continued work. I'm sure it's going to be a lot here in the near future. I'm curious about the hiring consultants part. Is that a financial decision, a practical decision? Could you shed some light on that?
So we're going with an RFQ process first, so we're just looking at qualifications before we look at, it's important. Consultants do know what our budgets look like, so that will definitely drive the way that they respond. But it'll start with an RFQ, then we'll kind of pick, it'll probably be several consultants. The way that we've written the RFQ is in such a way that either a consultant or groups of consultants may put in proposals, and we've kind of written the language such that we can pick different consultants for different plans. Yeah. So we may have one consultant that's like, man, this is the one for the transportation plan, but they really don't have any business doing the economic development plan, versus, okay, this team of this consultant would be excellent for the economic development plan, but they have no business, et cetera, et cetera. So I would imagine it's going to be 2, 3, maybe even 4 different consultants doing the work.
Okay.
And you're mostly looking for qualified consultants right now, because it's request for qualifications, and I don't think request for proposals is coming, because it's for no money.
Right.
And it's going to be the qualification that is decision maker.
Once we see people's qualifications, yeah, and we make a decision on the direction that we want to go, then we'll go, okay, we need for full scope proposals based on that, and there'll be some back and forth and some discussions and meetings and interviews to figure out where everybody stands with that, and then we'll get into the cost. But we have been transparent with the consultants. They do know how much money is involved.
Well, I guess partly my question is about, I trust you all more than I trust some external set of consultants. Mm-hmm. So in terms of kind of the trade-off of having consultants do this versus having staff do this, if there's a specific.
Yeah, there's
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very, very time-consuming, very broad, and it's not a staff. It's a firm that can.
We need a consultant for all 4 of these plans.
And we will be overseen.
Yeah, we'll be the face of it.
We are the face of it.
Yes.
Okay. And then I was just curious about if, say, a conflict popped up with the goal of making one unified plan, mm-hmm, then if there's a conflict between, say, Economic Development Office and the Department of Public Works, is that, I guess, just how would such a thing be handled?
Right. Well, what we say is more important, so no, we just work it out. It just discuss things and, figure out what the important pieces that maybe CETO has, and how we can support them, and vice versa. And that's why we've set up these weekly meetings, so that there's a dedicated amount of time every week for staff from these 4 different departments that we're together to at least have a discussion. And most of the time we meet in person in this room, actually. And that's an important thing to do, to actually physically be with each other, to develop the working relationships. That's a key priority for our team and for the other departments as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thanks again for your work on this. Sure. And welcome, Parsa.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, happy to be here. Excited.
Commissioner O'Neill Levanco.
Yeah, super excited. Love that it's PlanBTV mobility. This comprehensive idea is fantastic. And like Commissioner Davis just mentioned, or I'm going to kind of add to it, I'm happy to hear that you have these regular meetings, because if you're hiring different consultants who are going to have different specialties, I think that working group, to kind of, if you think of a quilt, to be kind of the thread between the different consultants, so that Parks has as much voice and a priority as, green infrastructure and built environment and economic development, that everyone has kind of equal kind of equal space and no one feels like they're getting short shrift and so forth, because they all are really important in our community. I would love to see that we're prioritizing people. We talked in transportation, we talk about vehicles and mobility, and at the end of the day, it is people. It is us, human beings who are moving around, and in particular, prioritizing our most vulnerable and our children in this planning. I'm sure you're familiar with 880 cities, and if we build a community that supports 8-year-olds and 80-year-olds, then we're really hitting a lot of the notes. I would love to see, I don't know what their capacity is, but to see the school district involved. Our Burlington School District has about 3,000 students, and how many staff who are coming in and out of the city from end of August until end of June. And those are important people who are moving around in our cities. A lot of these folks, kids are biking and walking, but I'm also seeing more carpool lines, which just blows my mind and makes me very sad, because we have a walkable community. So let's get back to kind of prioritizing those. You do mention measurement. You're going to be measuring to track the plans. And I know you don't have this yet, what you're going to measure. I'm wondering, are you measuring carbon, BMT reduction, accessibility, quality of life? How are you going to get to those metrics?
Go for it, man.
Well, yeah,
I'm drilling you, Parson.
Yeah.
No, we have quite a few needs or like transit, and for each we have, well, we still have to decide, but depends on what we want. For safety, yes, crashes. For VMT will be for
carbon.
Yeah, or carbon for environmental progress. I have quite a big list that I was told to take out of here.
Yeah, it's
yeah, it was.
We ain't got enough time.
I have this
Come on.
mindset of like providing a lot, which is bad. But yeah, there are, for each need that we have like 7 category of needs. You're gonna hear a lot about it, but for now, yeah, we have different categories and different measures for
It's a
those.
beefy spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Okay. I love a beefy spreadsheet.
Yeah, these are drafts though. I'm not
No,
gonna
I
share anything.
know, I know. I'm sure we'll get them, but I feel like, and this kind of goes into, a next thing about, not this, the community survey, but also the engagement. We have partners here at CCRPC, certainly in my day job, I do outreach and engagement, and it would be fantastic to go into one of these meetings and maybe be like, wow, I don't know anybody in this room. Right? Like that we're seeing totally different people.
Right.
That we're doing outreach with AALV and the Bhutanese and, right.
The TCVs, we've done that, and we're working with, it is.
Trust and community voice.
We did.
Yes,
Mhm.
trust community voices. We do meet with the school district as well. Christine and I have a bi-weekly safety meeting with the school district, and so they do have a seat at the table as well. And you're right, but it is a tricky puzzle to solve to get more folks to engage in the process, because it does wind up being a lot of the same folks that come to these meetings.
It is, and sometimes we need to not invite folks to the table, we need to pick up the table and bring it to them.
Oh, we've heard that loud and clear,
that's, yeah, so, I just encourage you, really this kind of robust community engagement that's deep, and then kind of wondering, what are your goals for the level of community engagement across the city? In thinking about when we get this plan set and then get to implementation, so that we're not each decision then going back and relitigating things, that we can say as a community, we had this kind of participation, this level of engagement, this many participants, et cetera, that it really becomes a kind of a community asset. Any
Well,
goals?
so this is, since it's one comprehensive plan, it's, with the visioning, all of them are gonna be like happening together, so there's a lot of engagement. We are gonna have 2 visioning sessions, like with 1 month in between. We're gonna get into, like, reach out to NPAs, and for each visioning session, we're planning to ask different questions, like kind of educational boards we have. So within each session, we're gonna like try to talk to everyone, and either me and Philip will be there. So this is for each session,
Right.
and then we have a couple of visioning, NPA meetings, PAC meetings, and
We have other
we
ideas
have different, a lot of ideas.
that I need to talk to Chapin about.
Okay.
But yeah, it's bottom line is we have to talk to other parts, other entities, because they have to be there too.
Right.
These meetings will not be just transportation focused.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I mean, for
No, I
us,
think that's good.
here's the thing, we want maximum involvement. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of the cure.
Mhm.
And so if we do have maximum involvement and people already know what we're gonna do and they're expecting it, whether they like it or not, it won't necessarily be relitigated or relitigated as much.
Right, reduce the level of complaint, maybe.
That's okay.
And I think all
go
of
ahead.
us talk about this enough so that our words get out to like communities. Hopefully we can have a good engagement.
Have you completed the community survey? You said that there's going to be a community survey.
I
That
think
would be
there's
really
more.
interesting to, if you want, feedback, a beta
Yeah,
test
no,
from the
not
commission.
yet. We are planning to have it before we start the visioning meetings,
Mhm.
but it's at a very, very draft phase for now. But I can arrange, like, getting it to you for feedback to the commissioners.
I think that, I certainly would
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, but it's very drafty.
That's okay. At any point, that would be good. And then one last thing, as we think about, the time and space between the plan completion and any sort of implementation, I always want to think about, what are we financially able to maintain? What kind of infrastructure projects are we thinking about as far as budgeting? And then, is Lee and his team going to be out there plowing one more?
I mean, transportation plans are that 10,000-foot view.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily get into even a scoping study or even the lower level, which is, here's what we build. So this is somewhat aspirational, but we do want to keep our feet on the ground.
I think that's good. That's good to hear. I like aspirational, but also be thinking about kind
We
of what are
want
the
it to be
financials.
realistic.
Yeah.
You
I mean, if we have more gondolas going through town, then we actually
Holy
alleviate
smokes.
some plowing.
Gondolas.
Just kidding. Anyway, thank you folks so much. I really look forward to this process.
Okay, excellent. I think that's it for this agenda item. Move on to the next one. Thank you, staff.
Thank you.
Nice work.
Fall clean sweep.
All clean sweep. Not much different than spring clean sweep, just a little colder. Well, probably not, actually. I think we've gotten snow a couple times on spring clean sweep, but yeah, we're here to speak about our proposed fall clean sweep, which will be happening November 5th and through the 14th. So it mirrors our annual spring clean sweep. This will be our first ever fall. Same dates, similar schedule, similar process. We do a lot of outreach to the public through various outlets such as media, publications, VT Alert, city website, and we have our protocols, turning on the parking ban lights at all the entrance areas. Traffic department has installed some more lights at new locations. We have the Parkway, different way to come into the city, so they're trying to cover all their areas. They've upgraded the signs to include larger flashing lights that have the P with a slash through it, rather than just our regular orange blinking lights. So we have that, then we have, our sweeping is done by zones. So the night, prior to the night of the sweeping, the lights in that zone will be turned on to notify residents in that area that there will be no parking on the street. As well as we have staff of 8 to 10 that go out the night prior. I'm sure if you've ever parked on the street in Burlington, you had a nice colorful little flyer on your windshield telling you Clean Sweep is coming to your neighborhood, to remove your car from the street so it doesn't get towed. So once that happens, night of sweeping when it starts, we have a staff of 2 city-owned sweepers. We contract out a third sweeper from a vendor, so they supply us with a sweeper and an operator. We have a dump truck that goes out because we get to the furthest reaches of the city, like the New North End. It's not feasible to have at least one of our sweepers, which is a mechanical sweeper, which travels much slower, to drive all the way back down to Pine Street to dump off the material that we collect. So we dump it in the truck and then have the truck dump it. Our sweepers can dump right into the dump truck. We have a working floor person that drives around, monitors, works in concert with parking services. They do the ticketing and the towing of any vehicles that are left on the street. And then we sweep the streets from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. In certain zones, we get to the downtown area. It's a different schedule down there. We will go out earlier than 10 p.m. to try to get ahead of the sweeping. Sweep areas where there's not as much on-street parking, sweep around the cars, then go back, hit those areas after the cars have moved. We do that throughout the week. We get to the end. It's going to be a similar situation this fall. I mean, last clean sweep, we removed almost about 780 cubic yards of material. So think about it in dump truck loads. It was mentioned in the memo. It's about 100 loads of material, 599 miles swept. We don't have 599 miles of road in the city. That's 3 sweepers, combined miles, multiple trips around a block. So not all 3 sweepers are working together all through the city, but in some areas you'll have 2, which we call tandeming, where one will do the curb line, the other one will follow just outside, so on and so forth, so we can sweep curb to curb to remove all that debris. There's a lot of benefits to doing a fall clean sweep. I gotta put my glasses on because I'm blind. Support lake health by removing phosphorus that occurs, so it's more beneficial in the fall because you're getting to the leaves and vegetation quicker rather than having it sit all winter on the gutter line, getting driven over, degrading, breaking down, ending up in our infrastructure such as our catch basins and our subsurface infiltration systems and plugging those up. So we're removing the phosphorus quicker by doing this. It also reduces maintenance on our stormwater infrastructure. You get silt over the winter as well from plowing, and all that debris ends up down in the catch basin, can get into our pipes. It's just more maintenance. If we can stay ahead of that, it's less maintenance, and we can focus on other areas of the system. Improve compliance with state and stormwater regulations. MS4 permitting, requires us annually to show that we're removing more phosphorus from the lake. Safer streets. We all know how slippery it gets. Wet leaves and all that vegetation starts degrading, not only for vehicles, but pedestrians and bicycles. A lot of our bike lanes are on the edge of the road, where all that vegetation and leaf litter accumulates. As a perk by doing a fall clean sweep, it being off-season, we normally sweep April to November, so anything after November could be billable work, or it will be billable work for the street department, so it will increase our revenues as well. We ticketed 440 vehicles during clean sweep. We're hoping to reduce that number. Chapin set an ambitious goal of reducing it by 10%. So hopefully we get the message out, the additional lighting and outreach, and we can reduce that number.
Excellent.
clean sweep in a nutshell.
Awesome, thank you. I appreciate the goals and the stats in the memo. I think that's helpful, and be excited to see sort of what the numbers are afterwards.
Yeah, I am too. It's fall, you know, we're trying to time it. I don't, you know, we're trying to work around, you know, when's it gonna snow? We're doing this to overlap with our annual leaf pickup as well, which will be the week of the 10th.
Oh, so it's, so you're gonna
we
sweep first?
Yeah, because nobody's supposed to put the leaves down the road for us to sweep up.
No, I
No, I
know, that's it, yeah, that's what I was
But,
thinking.
so, we're gonna start on the 5th, which is a Wednesday, and then that Monday, the 10th, is when we'll start picking up leaves for that whole week.
Okay.
And then clean sweep will end that Thursday night into Friday morning.
Was there any discussion internally with staff of sort of the Veterans Day holiday falling in between?
It's always, you know, it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't with leaf pickup.
Yeah.
Because we can set it 1 week earlier 1 year, 1 week later, and it's 50% either way. You're too early or you're too late. So we know Veterans Day, we consider that, and you
Hunting
know,
season?
Yeah. I'll be on. Yes, but we do consider Veterans Day, and you know, staff is willing to work that day as well. And it's just one of those deals that we need to get it done, and thankfully our staff is accommodating and don't mind putting in the extra work.
Any other commissioners have comments on this particular item? Commissioner Davis?
I think this is a great idea, and I'm happy that it's happening in the fall. I was curious about, maybe this is a terrible idea, but it happening more frequently, like maybe a more continuous process, if that's been considered, or...
No, we've been talking about a fall clean sweep since probably 2021, 22. You know, we've always done what we call enhanced sweeping, you know, so after November. If weather's conducive, we'll go out. We've swept into January, you know. We've always done like the north-south streets, like the North Unions, the Willards, where there's a lot of trees. We'll post parking, get the cars out of there, go through and sweep those. Lakewood Estates, South End, where there's a lot of heavy leaf, we'll go in with, you know, bucket loaders and scoop the leaves out, then come through with the sweeper. So we've always done some sort of enhanced sweeping, but it hasn't touched every single street in the city. And this will. Certainly, I'd love to have a sweeper out every day. But to Commissioner O'Neill Vivanco's point, you know, there's a lot of new infrastructure that we need to maintain as well. And with the staffs that we have, you know, there's the parkway now that we have to maintain. We'll have main street, grade streets that we're gonna have to maintain. We certainly can sweep those areas, but we can't commit a whole day to sweeping.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. This is maybe a really like weird question into the details of ordinances, but something I recently became curious about is people aren't allowed to park on their lawns generally, but when there's like a snow event and snow plows are going through, they can.
On their lawns?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. I don't know where that is. I've never looked into that part of ordinance. I know they can't park on sidewalks. I mean, their vehicles can't even overhang the sidewalk.
Yeah.
There are places like St. Paul Street where the green space is really wide and their driveway apron is in that area and it will fit a car. I've seen that. So they're not in the road, they're not on the sidewalk. They're in the right of way, but they're technically in their driveway.
There's some sort of ordinance that says you're not allowed to, in the city of Burlington, park on your lawn.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a carve out in that ordinance section for, I know it's at least for snow plowing. I was wondering if it was like for any parking ban, and therefore people would be able to park for this or for any clean sweep.
I do. This actually rings a bell for me. I believe this.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
For snow?
For snow, yeah.
Yeah. We'll check to see whether it applies for clean sweep. It's a good
Yeah.
question.
Well, so, and to get behind why I'm asking this question is like, in general, I find it kind of odd that people couldn't park on their lawn. I understand some reason for it, but in particular, banning parking and then saying you can't park on your lawn just feels.
20-156 shall not be in effect during a declared parking ban.
Okay, great, thank you. So people will be able to do that for Queen Sweep. All right.
It gets risky in sort of the student neighborhoods where then you get real abuse of green space, and we actually need those green space to be absorbing water instead of packed down. Sorry.
Yeah, it's very true.
I'm channeling Megan Moyer.
Yeah, and I understand.
I live in one of those neighborhoods, so it's constant parking, too many cars in a small
Yeah, but
unit.
I didn't realize it was that you could go to the old north end.
But when there's snow in the streets, isn't there snow on your lawns? How are you going to get your car onto your lawn, I guess, but.
Well,
I
right,
know.
it's an interesting, anyway, as the garages get more crowded when there are parking bans, which shouldn't happen with Clean Sweep because it's segmented, unlike a big snow ban, but my general misgivings about not allowing people to park on their lawns, I will save for another time. But I was just asking about that thing in particular. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments on this?
Nothing.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, Lee.
I think the key piece, there's no action obviously, but we need the commission's help getting the word out. We're trying to tow less cars and capture more phosphorus before it enters the lake. We need your help. Thanks. We'll get you materials. Rob's working on some great materials, and we'll ask you to share.
Yeah.
I don't mind leafing all the cars on my street, too.
We should acknowledge that Eleanor Walker, our policy and program specialist, did put this slide together. She's online, just in case there were water quality component questions. So just want to acknowledge the work she put into this.
Yeah.
And it's a good foundation to the news we want to share with the community.
And I think just building on the bond vote and all that sort of infrastructure, this is great.
Protecting
Yeah. Yes.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Eleanor.
I think explaining the MS4.
Thanks, Eleanor.
Yeah, thanks, Eleanor.
You're welcome.
She's been sitting there so quietly.
I know.
The disembodied voice.
Excellent.
I hope to buy the house she's in.
Moving on to parking occupancy report.
We know, given the hour, we're going to be especially super fast. We put this in your packet. I think, Jackie, if you can hit the super wave tops.
Yep.
Given the hour.
Can you promote me?
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Perfect. All right, I will be very quick. I will also send this out because I've added a few slides. Okay, current parking promotions, 2 hours free, free retail, restaurant workers, 50% off new businesses. We may be using the first one shortly. 2 hours free in both the Main Street lot and downtown garage, 1 hour free marketplace garage. Okay, so this slide shows the number of transactions. So just Park Mobile transactions. Something to note, this does not include any Calais transactions at all. I don't have the percentage for the garage or lots, but on street we are almost at 90% Park Mobile usage for total percentage of revenue. So just a couple things to note. Main Street lot, we don't have any data from 2024 because the lot was closed. Also, in July, the lot was not fully open, which could lead to some of the loss of transactions in July of 25. And then one other thing to note, there are no permits included in any of these numbers. These are just transient parking using Park Mobile. Okay, revenue numbers. So positive is on-street revenue has definitely increased, possibly from, we increased the rates in January of this year, so that does have something to do with it, but it was also, the transaction numbers increased as well. Some other interesting notes on here, the number of Canadian plates has decreased. So green line is 2020, light green line is 2024. The numbers are on the next slide. Oh no, sorry. It's, this slide. Numbers 4,500 plus down to around 1,750. So talking with Cara from CEDO today, I think they said 3 people or 2.5 people per car. They say around 10,000 less people in the month of July from 2023 to 2025. Sorry, 2024 to 2025. This slide shows total hours that were paid per budget. So the top one, 264, that's on-street parking. 265 is the 2 garages, and then 264 are parking lots. Just a couple of good news. Both garages are meeting or exceeding their budgeted revenues for permits. So we've added the number of permits in Marketplace Garage and Downtown Garage, both exceeding their expected revenues fiscal year to date. And on-street parking is up year over year and up from 2023 pre-construction. Was that fast enough?
So good, Jackie. I think in some, I know the commission had passed some promotional efforts. What we're seeing, if you can go back to the transaction numbers, on street we're seeing strength, as you see in the last column of the change. We're seeing that our downtown garage is holding its own. We are seeing weakness at the Marketplace Garage and at the Main Street lot. So the 2 areas where the commission has provided promotional incentives, we are not seeing increased use, but we are seeing reduced use, which in some way you justify if you're doing demand pricing. We're seeing less demand in the lots where we have lowered rates. So at some extent, we have implemented a demand-based pricing approach here in hopes that over time we will get that occupancy up. So I would say, while Jackie says we're meeting our budget numbers for permits, that doesn't mean that the garages overall are out of the woods, because as you're seeing in Marketplace, that we're struggling to have the transient occupancy that we used to have. So we still have work. We know downtown is in transition, and we're part of that. We've appreciated your help to put out some new products, but the message here is mixed, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. We can do whatever.
I have a couple quick ones. With the Marketplace, are you able to track or overlay any of the antisocial behavior that's going on in that car park? The 2 hours free, we all had concerns about that. So it could be 5 hours free, and if you still have antisocial behavior, you have folks who are then saying, I'm going to park on the street. So interesting to see that on-street parking is recovering. So are there correlations? And then with the Main Street lot, I think that's the one Rick Renewski.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I think, and I think maybe I shared pictures with somebody, that it wasn't clear that the lot was open, and this was maybe this was in the summer, and there were like weeds right in front of the little hairpin, whatever you call it, sign there. So when you have some janky looking, orange cones everywhere and weeds, and then this neatly paved thing, it wasn't inviting. So I wonder if we may see an increase now that Main Street is more open in the evenings and the weekends, and if you get a weed whacker out there, I'll take the weed whacker. And just spiff it up a little bit, so we say welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, I know the larger portion of the lot was closed for the majority, if not the entire month of July.
Yeah.
So that is open now. The lot looks great. It's busier, so I'm hoping to see that change with the next month.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Yeah, and I think if there's any way to track some of the either police calls or, I don't know, do we still have parking ambassadors in the, in that car garage?
No. We do.
Yeah, we have a maintenance log, an asset management program, and her staff does document how many biohazard cleanups there are, or how many heavy janitorial projects that they have to undertake. So we do have some numbers, and we have presented those internally and looking at trends. We still have very robust security. We have also, as a soft opening, have reopened stairwells in Marketplace Garage and are seeing positive results there. So we are trying to make the garages a more welcoming place. And we have a new security company starting in about a month that has some great new ideas. So we're bullish, but we know we've got a ways to go to truly change the kind of perception of the garages.
If I can do a plug too for the garage, if you haven't checked out Marketplace in the past 2.5 months, it has really turned around, and we're not seeing the unwelcome behavior that we were seeing before. It's different than it was, so please park there. We're working really hard to make it great, and it's great.
Just get some of the BHS students to park there. Because that's my favorite lot now, the, what's it called, the downtown?
Downtown Garage, yeah.
Any other commissioner questions, comments? Commissioner Hughes?
Yeah, I'll try to be brief, but yeah, thanks for your work on this. Great seeing this, seeing the data, so thank you. Marketplace Garage is my favorite garage, and I park there often. But I did notice, and this has to do with the stairwells, and so maybe I just didn't know what was going on, but twice I've parked there for something that was on the later end of things, and the stairwells were open when I parked, and then when I came back, they were closed. But they were, I think, all closed, and there was like a posting that said like, hey, this one is open late, and it wasn't. So I don't know. I guess I don't know what the general policy either is or was, and then I wasn't sure kind of how, I guess that was, people were notified other than like the thing on the door.
So we opened up until 2-3 weeks ago, the two side, the one on Bank Street and the one closest to Cherry were both closed. So all the time, 24/7, just the middle one was open.
Okay.
We have, for the past couple of years, closed all of them at 11 p.m. That has been our practice. It just got unsafe. We do have, so we've opened the side two until 11 p.m. They're all closed at 11 p.m. We have right now a security officer who is walking all 3 of those staircases from 3:30 p.m. until 11 p.m.
Yeah, that's a lot of stairs.
It's a lot of stairs.
That's a very fit person.
Let's get their steps up. That will continue. That's not going to stop, but for now, we will continue to lock at 11 unless we see a change.
Okay, and that makes sense. I guess I was just surprised because I wound up having to, I parked at the top because I was like, oh, well, it's easy to park here. Like, I know there'll be a spot there, instead of trying to fight for one of the lower ones, and then like, I just walk up the whole thing, which is not, you know.
We're
it's not
promoting
terrible.
steps, wellness. We're doing it for
Yeah.
wellness.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Get your fitness tracker.
Yeah.
Yep. I think And I did want to note that one of those parking promotions we did not approve. That was the city council thing.
Right.
We very much did not approve it.
And I was curious if that, if we got the like rationale from, I think it was an attorney that was supposed to provide, like what the city council's rationale was for why they were allowed to do it.
Oh, yes, there was, yes, Commissioner Davis did have, I do remember this. I can't remember the exact thing.
I think because the argument from the city's side was because the council funded it, that it's not a change in rate because the council was paying for the first 2 hours and you wanted confirmation from the city attorney about that analysis.
Yeah.
Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. I have not done that. My apologies, and we're happy to follow up.
Okay, yeah.
We do have, maybe we share it after the fact, because I'm not gonna be able to summarize it succinctly. We do have Assistant City Attorney Ramakrishna, who was on the line, did share it with us, kind of in the background, and I think maybe if it makes sense, we can share that after the fact, make sure you have it, a copy of it, and we'll share it with the commission.
Yeah. Thank you.
And
Okay,
we'll
thanks.
make sure that this is what you're looking for.
Right, is this the $45,000 that if it turns out the
Yeah.
staff will have to
Yeah.
pay? Because then we'd have to come back for a rate change. Is that, these are my notes.
Right.
So.
Anything else?
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay, can I go?
Yeah, Vice Chair Fox.
Okay. I really appreciate seeing this information. Thank you. And yeah, just to the point about that $45,000 or however much was allocated.
Yeah.
That's really the number I want to make sure we're keeping tabs on, right? Because after that is spent, it's coming out of DPW's budget, and which triggers what we need to adjust the rate or whatever. Maybe not a rate change, but yes, a rate change. Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, that's it.
We don't have to wait till the next meeting to share that. We'll run a report and get it out to you via email.
Cool.
Yeah.
That would be great. That's it.
Commissioner Matino?
Could you just pull up the revenue numbers, the 3 line graphs side by side that was up a little earlier? Yeah. All right.
This is hours.
Hours parked.
Yes,
Got it.
hours, yep. This was put together by Nancy Stetson. Yes, she's wonderful.
Yeah, well, it definitely seems that it is garage hours parked that is lacking over the past 3 years.
Correct.
Good.
So the third, the second, the middle is
Correct.
garage numbers, yep.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Also interesting to see the Canadian data, because that's just not lost revenue for the car parks, the
Yes,
city.
exactly.
Right.
Hotels. dining.
Was that before we changed Church Street to Rue Canada? I'm just wondering, because I honestly, I've walked down Church Street several times in the last week, and I hear a lot of French Canadians talking, so I feel like more than I normally would. So I think now there might be an increase.
Maybe we're not seeing it through.
They're not parking here. I don't know.
They must have watched the Daily Show piece.
Yeah.
That's it.
I do have one final question. If you go back just a little further in the year-over-year trends, is it also trending downwards if you were to include 2021 and 2022?
That's hard.
COVID,
that's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I can look into that. I don't know off the top of my head. Probably down from those times.
Also down from.
Yeah. 2019 would be the highest, I would imagine.
Yes, it was.
Got it.
Glory days.
All right.
Weird.
Confusing times that we're all going through. It's really difficult to pick out really what are the roots of all that's going on. But I think this data definitely helps with regards to parking in our downtown. And thanks everyone for that work.
Awesome. Moving on to the director's report. Thank you, Jackie.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anything you want to highlight, Chapin?
Happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have questions specifically on items in the director's report?
Sorry, I missed the picnic.
Yeah. Chapin, how did
the picnic go?
Yes. We had a wonderful picnic to celebrate our awesome staff. We recognized people who had decades of service. We did a backhoe challenge where we got the staff to get in and prove that the white-collar staff could not hold their own compared to our blue-collar staff. There were some really hilarious movements. Everybody was safe. But we had a good time. And Jackie did remind me that there was a public comment earlier this evening about a school crossing guard need at North and Barley. And we do currently have a morning crossing guard at that location, but that crossing guard cannot do the afternoon until next month. And so starting next month, that location will have, in October, full coverage. So a couple of years ago when we were really struggling to fill positions, did allow people to just work a morning or an afternoon and try to supplement the other. It has helped. We're stronger than we have been for the last couple of years, but we still do have a couple intersections that are either getting morning only or evening only. So there is some progress there, and appreciate the Commission's continued marketing of this opportunity to friends, neighbors, or anybody. $20 an hour.
I wish I had the time to do it.
Yeah, It's a split shift. It's hard. It's for a special person who's got a flexible schedule, but.
Moving on to Commissioner items. I was going to start and just do a couple updates. One thing at the Jolly meeting I mentioned was trying to engage more with the Transportation Energy Utilities Committee of the City Council. I was not able to attend them, but I did watch them and just wanted to say that they talked about a few items related to the Champlain Parkway, and they got updates from consultants from GMT around assessment reform for GMT, and so they'll be meeting in the next 2 weeks on September 30th, I think, is their next meeting. Just trying to keep the commission and the two sort of engaged in that sort of process and communication. I also wanted to mention that I have been the 127 Bike Path DPW Commission representative. Other commissioners here have also been on that committee as well as in their day jobs. And I'll just share that. Not a quorum. I'll just share that the advisory committee met last week and agreed on a preferred alternative that included sort of reallocation of the roadway space at the first exit by the high school. And there'll be further updates moving on from there. And then finally, just wanted to give a huge kudos to staff on the traffic calming updates that have gone in. The two that I see a lot in my neighborhood are the North Champlain one and the Peru Street bump outs. So it's been great to see those out in action in my neighborhood. I'm sure you all have seen the ones that the city has been doing in your neighborhoods as well. So huge kudos. Who'd like to start with Commissioner Hayes?
Yeah. I'll try to be quick. And this is more of a process question. The folks who were here earlier in the night talking about the speed bumps that they were concerned about, what's the kind of follow-up for them in terms of assessing, whether the speed bumps make sense there from a safety perspective, but also from a noise pollution concern perspective?
Yeah. So staff has been out on site collecting speed data. Post-installation, we've got speed data from prior to installation. We've also been taking some noise assessments as well on site. So staff will be reviewing the comments from this evening, the data that we've collected, and deciding whether or not to adjust this installation. just for everybody's awareness, this is a seasonal installation. It will come out regardless by early November at the latest, 6 weeks away, but we will evaluate whether additional changes need to happen prior to that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I also wanted to express thanks for the changes in front of Champlain Elementary School. I've heard from several parents that it has made a huge difference in terms of being, feeling safer walking with their kids. I did notice in the write-up that there are bi-monthly meetings with the school district, and there, it sounds like there have been some recommendations for kind of future traffic calming or kind of pedestrian-focused measures, and I'm just curious how I would find out what those are, where those are in the process. I'm particularly curious about an RRFB potentially in the mid-block crossing in front of the school. And I know I've heard chattering about potentially in the future doing some kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, a horseshoe, where families can be driving in and dropping their kids off instead of having to park. So just curious how to get information on that.
Great. We'll definitely connect you with Senior Engineer Peterson, who is our main point of contact with the school system. Yes, we are evaluating a number of changes with the school system. Obviously, given the school system is the demand for this action, we want to get their direction. And we need to follow our own standards of practice within the right-of-way. We would love to see more of the loading and unloading happen out of the right-of-way so that we could keep the right-of-way open for continuous bike lanes and through passage of vehicles. And yet those capital intensive projects like developing an off-street parking are going to be a couple of years out, is my estimate at this point.
Okay, thank you. And then lastly, I noticed a lot of folks talking on, I think it was what's it? I don't remember what forum. Yeah, the Queen City Park Road Bridge.
Yeah.
That's Burlington? Okay. And I'm assuming that this has come up before, the kind of one-lane bridge where there's a yield, and people kind of not understanding what they're supposed to be doing. I think there's a cultural etiquette where many feel that it's one at a time, and then I think what it's supposed to be is several people going at a time, while the other direction yields. And the signage, it says yield, but I'm wondering if there's any signage that could be more explicit about what people should be doing. I'm on there a lot.
Yeah.
I have to say probably 95% of the time it's smooth, easy.
Yeah.
I do find myself having to think and adjust my behavior based on how other people are acting though. And so anyway, I don't know if that's been studied, if you have ideas or.
Yes, it has been studied. We have communicated. Generally, staff has found that the condition is safe, and I think you've recognized most of the time it operates very smoothly. We have continued to get a number of requests to continue to look at this, so we are evaluating some additional signage to make the operation more clear. I do expect the traffic to reduce once the Champlain Parkway construction is completed.
I think you're right.
So this is an interim situation, so some additional signage may be the trick.
Yeah, even a yield to oncoming traffic versus just a yield might kind of do the trick. And I agree with you. I think the traffic will go down once the parkway opens over there.
Yeah.
While you're looking at that, I would encourage you to re-look at that. There's that sharp turn if you're going in the direction of South Burlington, that's a blind turn. And I have seen a couple of incidents there. We helped people who got stuck in the ditch once, and I've seen a couple other incidents that were close calls because it's kind of a blind curve. So while you're looking at the bridge, it might be worth, because I'm not a big fan of sign pollution, but if there is a need there, it's worth looking at. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Commissioner Barr?
Just really quick, a couple of comments. I just wanted to make a note that the Old East End is having a block party on Chase Street, September 28th from 1 to 4. That's a Sunday. We've invited Public Works, transportation folks if they want to come and table and talk about things that are going on in the area. And other people are invited. Obviously, it's not just for the neighborhood, but we want to make sure that everybody knows about it. And street closed. We've gone through the proper permitting stuff, but we found that BPD doesn't have street closed signs. How do we get those? Can we borrow those from you?
Okay.
I'm just trying to find out what the process is. I had my steering committee, and I don't know the answer.
Okay, I'll get you an answer.
Okay, thanks. That's it. Thanks.
Vice Chair Fox, any
Yeah.
commissioner items?
Yeah, I will echo what the chair said about seeing all the projects happening. It's awesome. I feel like I've seen so many new sidewalks, like more than I was expecting.
Yeah.
It's
Nice.
like, aren't we only doing a mile of sidewalk this year?
Mhm.
It feels like more,
Wow.
and it feels great. I've also appreciated like the communications that have gone out around it, that were just like, the stuff is being built and then we're hearing about it, or vice versa. Sometimes we're like hearing about the projects and then you see them go in. So I feel like that's been really positive. And I thank you for all your hard work on that. I'm very excited about Burlington's first two-way on-street protected cycle track. I know it's only 2 blocks long. I know some people don't like that it's only 2 blocks long, but I think it's pretty fun. And I just want to point that out because it feels like an achievement. Anyway, and then the last thing, I do want to come back to the speed bumps on North Ave. Because when they were set up on Grove Street last year, we had a similar issue, and so maybe we need to contemplate this traffic calming pilot tool that we have a little more. Like, I love it. I think it works in some situations, but clearly, like, this is not just a problem where they are now. It seems to do with heavy-duty vehicles for the most part, and so maybe we need to think about only deploying them on residential streets, unfortunately.
And use other tools, yeah.
And use some other traffic calming tools on our bigger arterials. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not saying I disagree with the pilot at all. But yeah, just some food for thought, because this is not the first time we've heard these kinds of comments.
Right.
Okay, that's it.
Great.
And one thing I'll just add to that, what's interesting is we explicitly ordered a lower profile speed hump for North Avenue based on the concerns
And I
of
want our
Grove
money
Street.
back.
So we were hoping that the same situation wouldn't be occurring with these lower profile
interesting.
Speed humps.
I know a street that might.
At the end of the day, if people want the speed limit.
Yeah, you wouldn't need them.
We wouldn't need them, yes.
We wouldn't.
That's the very bottom line.
That's it.
Commissioner Montano?
Well, I blame the sandy soil that's underneath. As I was listening to the comments, I was like, I wonder if these are the same speed bumps that we had discussed last year, and evidently they are a little different.
Yeah.
And our comments and the public's comments about the actual steepness of the bumps were taken into consideration. On that note, are any of the previous speed bumps still in use, or was there any other implementation this year that might be a little less controversial?
My understanding is that we do have the speed humps in on Goss Court.
Oh, yeah.
And
For the second year, right?
Yeah.
This is one place where it actually,
Works,
you know,
yeah.
was successful, so that's
I think
promising.
the ones on Austin, is it still Austin Drive?
Yes.
Where- Those have been great.
Yes, and those
And
are
I was
profile.
concerned initially because they are the higher ones, and I'm live in the neighborhood, I'm on there all the time. But behavior changes once it's there. I don't know, and I haven't heard anyone complaining about the noise, and it's right where the trail comes off, and it's, I think they're great. So.
I'm curious with the complaining, did any of these people go down South Prospect? Because those are like, those are moguls, those are, get some air. And I'm going 10 miles an hour and I'm still
I walk there every day.
Spill my coffee all the time.
Just put a lawn chair on the sidewalk and just drink your coffee.
Speed bumps, because road spikes aren't liked.
Any other items, Commissioner Martino?
That's all?
Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, a couple things. One, with the speed bumps, I was wondering if there was anything like, rather than taking them out, if there was something additional that might have the effect of reducing the noise issue. So like, maybe if there were a set of 2 speed bumps, like really close to one another. I've seen that in entrances to parking garages and things like that. And maybe it would either encourage people to go even slower because the double speed bump would be even worse, or it would draw even more attention to it. Anyway, just I understand the people that are frustrated with the noise and the building vibration, because that's not the, like, they didn't move into those places with that already existing, so it's kind of a new imposition on them. But I do think there's that constant, there are trade-offs between safety and people's comfort, and that's a difficult thing to navigate. But anyway, just another zany idea.
Can I make a quick comment?
Yeah.
Having had them on Grove Street, that even with them as far apart as they were on Grove Street, the challenge, and some of the public forum comments noted this, as soon as they get over the last one, foot's down on the pedal and they're going 60 again.
Yeah, to make up for kind
so
of
no
lost
matter what
time.
you do,
Yeah.
haters are going to hate, you know.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Some on-street parking to slow down.
There is on-street parking there.
Yes.
It's just
I don't
not
see-
used.
you know what?
Yeah.
We should put in a bike lane.
Yes.
Yeah, protect the bike lane.
Put in a small tunnel to blind
With those
people.
little Russell Stover chocolate.
Okay, anyway, so that was all I had on that. And then with the one-way bridge, I also am in the south end,
Okay.
front porch forum. So I saw a lot of things come up, and there was like a call to reach out to all of us. Someone put everybody's email up. I was surprised I did not get any emails, unless the spam filter blocked them. And I get why people are upset. I've had a couple issues like never a wreck, but just issues that are kind of slows everybody down. Some people get mad. I was wondering because I agree that likely once the parkway is complete, this might not be as much of an issue, but if making just one side a stop and the other side a yield, and just like living with the people that are going to be mad, whatever direction they go, that has to stop, but just making a more concrete, definitive right-of-way situation rather than a double yield, because it is a bit, the bridge kind of peaks the roadway there. It's a little bit higher elevation than when you're approaching from either side. So it is a little bit hard to see if someone is on the other side until you're like right at the yield as it currently stands. So I don't know if that's possible or against guidelines or anything.
We'll look at the signage and look at, how we can make it clear for this interim period. Yeah.
All right. Well, great.
I'll let the technical staff come up with the recommendations to make sure I'm not putting the public at risk.
Well, thanks for everything, and
Yeah.
that is it for me.
Commissioner O'Neill-Baca?
No, thanks for everything. Can't wait to see no turn on red unless it's there already on Union and Main. Can't wait for their paving on College Street for the biking.
Yeah. So I believe the no right turn on red is, I know it is happening. The question is, with the Main Street construction, at what point are we comfortable with the traffic network being resilient enough to be able to handle that? And then as it relates to College Street will be repaved. Whether it happens this year or next spring at this point is an open question. The contractors got started late this year. We are, I believe, hoping that it still happens this year, but we don't know for sure.
Right. Pearl Street and Cliff Street are coming up. And-
And Archibald.
Archibald, right?
And Archibald's underway. I think they're mobilizing. We're mobilized on Pearl Street this week, and we have another meeting tomorrow, and that'll give us a little more clarity on the schedule as we inch closer to kind of when the plants close.
I totally get it.
Yeah, you do. Viscerally.
I did have one other thing I just remembered, if that's okay.
Brief.
Yes, so this was brought up somewhat before. It's more of a forward-looking thing, but on the Champlain Parkway at Flynn, when there's a train going across that crossing, it turns red all three directions of lights.
I brought this up.
Yes, you
Yes.
did, yes.
Mhm.
And I've seen now like 4 times since the last time we met. I've just happened to be unlucky and meet it at that time. But people, one, I think once the Champlain Parkway is complete, that's going to be bad when the north-south is red during that time. It'll back up things, I think, a lot. 2, people stopped waiting there, get upset,
They go anyway.
either go anyway, or as soon as it turns green, they're turning left, even though clearly that's not the right of way. So things like that. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to point it out again.
Yeah.
Excellent. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please.
Aye.
There was a second in there.
Aye.
Aye for
Like
everyone.
3 seconds.